Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. For the last 7 years, I have trusted the Simpson brand to keep my head safe out on the open road. Their iconic and aggressive look has always stood out amongst other helmets. Simpson has been continuously providing us with quality-built motorcycle helmets with many different models, finishes, and visor options to fit your taste. Head on over to SimpsonMotorcycleHelmets.com and check out everything they have for you, and give these guys a follow on the gram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. On today's episode, we have Bryan, aka Wood Grain FXR. He actually did the Triple Crown last year, which is basically when you do the East Coast FXR Jam, the Sturgis FXR show, and the West Coast FXR Jam. And he rode to all three of these things on the same bike. FXR, of course, and awesome dude. He's come to the camp out a handful of times. We've hung out quite a bit. Stayed with him in his place up in Twin Falls, Idaho. Had an amazing steak, and once again, great times up there. I want to thank him for all the hospitality. But this podcast, I had a great time talking with him, and I can't wait for you guys to check it out. So, hell, let's go. Let's get these sponsors over with and jump right into this episode. Cowboy Harley Davidson is located in South Austin, and they are ready to help you get on the new bike you have been thinking about, or help you get your current bike dialed in with all the performance parts and upgrades you need. From service to sales and everything in between, check them out at cowboyharleyaustin.com and on Instagram at Cowboy Harley Austin. They have new 2023 bikes rolling in daily, so give them a call or head in and let them know that the Fast Life sent you. Our longest running podcast supporter, Lexin Moto, and our Bluetooth headset of choice here at the Fast Life since 2019, is still here providing you with one of the best Bluetooth headsets on the market, the G16, which I personally use on my motorcycle rides to check out everything from my favorite playlists to my favorite podcast. The battery life and sound quality is amazing on these headsets. Earlier this year, Lexin dropped the Smart Tire Pump, which became an instant everyday carry for many people on motorcycle trips. Well, now they have refined and taken the pump to new levels with the Lexin Smart Tire Pump Gen 2, which now offers an internal cooling fan, is 20% smaller in design, and can double as a portable charger while you're away from civilization. Pair these great products with some of the best customer service in the industry, and head on over to lexin-moto.com and drop the Fast Life offer code to save yourself 15% off your order. And don't forget to give these guys a follow on Instagram at Lexin Moto. If you have seen any of my personal bikes in person or on the gram over the past 6 years, you will definitely notice my ongoing support for Lucky Dave's. Their seats have always fit my ass perfectly and had the style profile I prefer in the 2-up seat game. I have ran the San Diego bars on my FXR and Dynas for years. Now I currently run the Peacemaker Bar and Riser series on my 2020 Road Glide. These bars are dope with many options to customize the appearance, as well as get you dialed at the right height and hand position. I would go as far to say that the Lucky Dave's Riser bar is one of the most comfortable bars on the market, no matter what risers you put them in. Check out all the options for your ride at luckydaves.com and give these guys a follow to stay up on product releases and inventory restocks on the gram at Lucky Daves.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast. Annoying.
Yeah, dude, LEDs, that's the way to go, man, especially in the shops. I got fucking Saxon, actually, funny story, because he was like kind of working as an apprentice electrician.
Right, yeah.
Whenever he helped we were building the studio. Mm-hmm. And he wired up my hallway lights in between like the paint booth and the paint storage area, constant. Like they don't turn off. There's no switch. And then he didn't because the lights weren't in because we drywalled everything,
right,
textured it, and then the lights got put in, and we're like, yo, dude, there's a switch. He's like, no, I didn't run it to a switch. I'm like, why the fuck didn't you run it to a switch?
Oh my God.
So, whenever we try to do photography in the shop, I have to pull the little, like, they have these little like diffuser covers that goes over them.
Yeah.
Because they're like can lights, but they're not really. They're just flat and they just LEDs.
Yeah.
So we had to spray paint them black and we put those on.
Oh my God.
Fucking Saxon, man. He's so good. So he makes those kind of decisions though. But no, LEDs is the way to go, man. I did it all in my paint booth. Like I bought like on Amazon, you can get like those strip lights for you can get a bunch of them for like, I think in my booth I have like 24 lights in there.
Really?
And they might have cost me $200.
So, man, I probably went a little overboard on mine. I should have opened the door and showed you.
I saw
check
it.
it out?
Yeah, no, I saw it.
Yeah, so I got there's like probably have like $1,000 into that booth. Some of it was those lights. They got the all sealed LED, so they're all like the waterproof type.
Oh, yeah,
and then the flat panel one for low clearance and but yeah, man, LED's the way to go.
Yeah,
Just
I dig
replicate the daylight. I got these ones on clearance. They were $2 a bulb. So I did the whole shop for like $50 to convert to LED.
So those are the ballasts still normal? Or you have to put some kind of new ballast in it to run the LED?
I removed the ballast, so you just bypass it. Yeah, so it just runs straight 110 or whatever.
Damn,
so
that's
no
dope.
more ballast in there even. So
it's lit pretty good in here.
yeah, before, man, a month ago it was fucking a cave. It was like I had one drop light, and it was just really sad. You couldn't do anything in here. So this is a huge improvement.
Dude, this like last night we did the podcast with Chandler. We were at one of his homies that they do bike. I guess they work together.
Oh, really?
And similar shop, just like this. It's all
his name?
finished out, man. I don't. Okay. He wasn't on the pod. He was just kind of hanging out, kind of like our man over here. But yeah, it's kind of like similar, like a real similar size shop, and all finished out on the inside. All drywalled, textured. Yeah. It just looks good. It's like I wish that my shop was kind of like it's insulated, but not insulated and drywalled and textured. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I do love that experience of like one of my buddies in NorCal, we used to talk about how the funnest part of like setting up a shop or starting your own shop is setting it up.
Oh yeah.
And then once you get it set up, you're like, all right, I don't really want to fucking work here. I want to do that true. Again.
Well, I mean, I don't think your shop is ever really set up. It's a constant evolution and process of what you're doing and what you're into, and what works and what flows. I think you need to be open to always changing it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I could actually. When I was a kid, I used to rearrange my room all the time.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd one day on Saturday, it's raining. I'm like,
this might fit here.
I need to change the vibe in here. You know what I mean? And I'll put the bed somewhere else and
totally
and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of how I am with the shop. It's like a bit of a change is like a like rearrange or reset up. It kind of like you're excited to work in that environment again. You know. Because have y'all been to my shop yet?
I peeked in there.
Okay, that's right. Because I remember we've ridden from there together.
It was right before we met to do, I think, lunch before the camp out.
That's right.
And then I scoped it in. I was like, oh shit.
We all went and had Mexican food that time down the street. Yeah.
So I saw in, but I wasn't quite in there.
I've like gone from toolbox and lift on one side of the shop to the other side of the shop to back to this side to like all these different areas and stuff. So. But like I was just telling you before we turn the mics on, I think when I get back, I want to regut the studio and I want to build a table for podcasting in a different shape. I hate the fact that like when the camera's on me, there's like a door behind me.
Right.
It drives me nuts. So I need to like build something different to get in a different spot of the studio so that I can have some more artwork behind me type shit, Right. But that's fun. I'm excited. It makes me.
I think it'd be cool just to change it up. It's always.
He does it all the time. I come over here and it's like, dude, where's the tools?
Yeah. Just switch it up. And dude, that also helps. Just keep your shit organized just by moving it. Just take a good inventory of what you got, what you're using, what you're not using.
Yeah, when you have it all, like how you have the pegboard and you know where everything's at, it's like it's so much easier to just pick it up, put it back.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. It's just better, and then you get more work done when things are organized and clean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think as a painter, you're probably a hoarder too, right? somewhat.
I used to be. I think I've kind of broken that mold where I'm a hoarder when it comes to things that are more sentimental.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think those are the good things that you can hoard and keep on to, you know, the things that are meaningful, you know, not just like, I might use that one day. Like, no, I've had that for 10 years. I haven't fucking touched it. Let's throw it away. If I really need it, I'll go buy it, you know?
I always tell my friends, like, that have shops that have, like, projects, you know, similar to what you have. Yours has sentimental value.
Right.
But so many will just have, like, this project sitting in the shop that's been sitting in the shop since I known them that's not going to change. I'm like, get rid of it, dude.
Yeah.
You're never going to work on that thing.
Yep.
And just think about it. Like, whatever you got out of this, you can apply it to what you actually do now.
Right.
And maybe it could be, you know, another bike or setting up the shop better. Like, so much you can do with it. Just, you know, it's always that guy that has, like, that really good car or truck sitting in his yard that don't want to sell it.
Right.
But then he doesn't do anything with it and it rots and then it's worth nothing.
Yep.
You know
and then
he
can't do anything with it.
Exactly. Nobody wants it then. You got to pay someone to come pick it up.
Yep.
Get it out of your yard.
Or you got to get it out of your yard before you have to pay someone. The county starts fining you and shit. You know? My grandpa is in a situation like that. Yeah. He's up in Northern California, and he's definitely a hoarder of old vehicles. That's what he invested his money in. He bought a bunch of vehicles and moved up to NorCal, and he thought he'd just hold on to them and then like sell them off for his retirement.
Did he buy a bunch of Saturns or something?
No, not even. Just older, man. This was in the 70s, so we're talking big old boats and shit. He probably would have been better off with the Saturns, you know, because they wouldn't rust. But
they're plastic.
Yeah, everything basically flooded and rusted and deteriorated, and now it's all junk, and the county's on his ass, and you know, now it's a detriment to
He could
him.
just move them in different parts of the yard and then turn it into like a paintball.
Oh, he's modded it. Oh, there's been paintball fights out there for sure. Yeah, it's pretty wild out there.
There's like a lot of those places around where we live where it's just like buses and old shit out there, and then it turns in like almost
hay
like
bales and stuff.
Almost like a Call of Duty deathmatch kind of fucking places where they just.
I bet they get down in Texas. I'm sure. I'm sure it's massive.
Within 5 miles of my house, there's like 3 or 4
probably
paintball
acres
spots
upon acres size. Yeah.
Just dudes out there sniping, camping, and shit.
They get wild with what's those pellet ones nowadays? They got the airsoft shit. Like those fucking nerds. Fucking military nerds. I don't know. Or wannabes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they're holding their paintball gun with their finger out like they don't want to accidentally shoot you. It's like, come on, dude. Like, you're feeling a little extra.
Yeah.
So, man, Bryan, dude, thank you. Thank you for the dinner, man. That was a fucking really good steak. That was a good spot. It was dark, so we couldn't quite see the Snake River Canyon that well, but I felt its energy.
Okay. Well, next time you'll stop through in the daytime.
I'll see it in the morning. I'm definitely going to check it out and stop in and see it.
There's a cool visitor center right before you cross the bridge in the morning. It's got a great little view.
Nice. I'll definitely check it out. For over 50 years, the Ness family has provided us with top quality custom motorcycle parts. And today's product line is better than ever, offering you products to enhance your motorcycle's performance and the overall look of your bike. With 12 different categories of custom air cleaners, Arlen Ness has a filter that will fit your budget and or your taste. I'm currently running the Method air cleaner on my 20 Road Glide, along with their one-of-a-kind Method No Flex front fork legs and bagger fork guards, which allow me to show off my Arlen Ness gold fork tubes. It's really sick. From custom handlebars and rims to bodywork and foot controls, head on over to arlenness.com to start getting the parts you need to enhance your motorcycle experience. And as an added bonus to Ness's well-stocked product line, you can use offer code in all caps, FASTLIFE10, to save yourself 10% on your purchases. And it's always free shipping on orders over $100. And lastly, give these guys a follow on the gram at Arlen Ness Motorcycles. It's rad though. I mean, like even leaving Ogden to head up here, we were talking when I first pulled up, it's like that pass was, I mean, for me being up here right now, I'm seeing mountains and desert-ish or more drier, airy kind of whatever this climate is. It's just covered in snow and it's so smooth looking. It's like such a different experience to see mountains that I've never saw it that way.
Yeah.
Usually I'll see like, snow-capped mountains, but I never see like the whole fucking mountain in the valley just looking like perfectly smooth.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite areas right there where you drove through on is it 84? Right there. I think it's called Hidden Valley.
It's like right when you cross into Idaho.
Yeah, right by Snowville, Utah. I think it's called Hidden Valley, and it just reminds me of like that picture on the fucking jar of ranch, you know? Like that's exactly what it looks like. And most of the time when I hit that, I'm either traveling down to Salt Lake City or coming home, and it's either as the sun is rising or going down, and it's an amazing time to hit that little area right there.
If you were to leave here, like say 5 a.m. and it's summertime, sun's rising around what
6-ish.
Yeah, because y'all are close to the end of. You ever think? I mean, you've traveled the country, so you might get this right. And this is like a weird like smoke weed, and then like what's weird, man. But when you're on like say the western part of a time zone, you're closer towards another time zone.
Yeah.
Or the easter, it's almost like there really is a difference in how the sun comes up and goes down.
The Pacific time zone is right at the border of Nevada, right here by Jackpot. So it's literally 50 miles away is the Pacific time zone.
But then if you go up to Boise, it's
we're still in Idaho time.
Exactly.
So and then that's 120 miles away.
Yeah.
And even further west. Than the Pacific time. So it kind of jots over. So I play with that a little bit in my travels.
To your advantage.
Well,
so it's weird because out here, there's a lot more space between the towns or the cities, right?
Yes.
So if you have a time zone, it could be far enough away where it doesn't really affect much of the city.
Right.
But the East Coast is different. Like that East Coast to Central time zone, that shit is like right there on city lines. You know what I'm saying? Like goes right through the Great Lakes. I think Indianapolis is really close to it.
Okay.
And then, of course, on the other side of Nashville, and then where's the other one? It drops down in between like Tallahassee and Pensacola, I think.
I'm not even sure, man. When we went to the East Coast, I wasn't even paying attention to time zone. We were just rolling by the sun, like that's pretty much, we'd ride as much as the sun was up and then even later. So I didn't really even notice the time zone. It was mostly when I was like trying to call back home or something like that. That's when you think about it, know, but otherwise when you're on the bike, you don't even really notice.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you're trying to make it somewhere by a certain thing, you know, but.
Yeah, for me in Dallas, like going to California or going to Phoenix, like at certain times of the year, I can gain 2 hours in that trip. You know what I mean? Which is pretty rad. But so how did, like where did bike start with you? Is it like a family thing or is it a?
Man, really, I'm like the only one in my family that started on bikes. I got one cousin. He's over in NorCal and he does flat track racing stuff. And his father was in a club. But other than that, he's like the only other person on a bike. My little brother just got into it a couple years ago. He picked up a Yamaha R6, the anniversary one, that yellow thing. But pretty much, man, I started it out.
How did he go to Yamaha with a guy like you?
I think it was just to be anti-me, just to be like anti-Harley and, just to be anti-me.
Try to carve his own path as he follows you.
Exactly. I'm cool with that too, though, like two wheels is two wheels, but it really scares me, him being on that thing just because it's a lot of bike, man. I rode it one time. It's pretty gnarly. It's a whole nother thing.
I think that if I would have had the drinking gene that I carry now, when I rode sport bikes, I would not be alive.
See, and he's really responsible. He ain't, he ain't much of a drinker, and growing up and stuff like that. So, it's just other people I worry about. Those things are way too fast. You wind that thing up in the city, and someone pulls out in front of you that don't even know. He's just my little brother, so I love him a lot. So, I'm still trying to get him to convert to Harleys. So I think it's slowly working.
Let's just grab some bars of soap, some long socks.
He actually rode my Sportster to Sturgis this year.
For real?
It was the first time he went on the interstate, first time he crossed state lines, and he rode with the whole pack to Sturgis, loaded out on my Sportster.
And he wasn't in love?
I mean, not fully in love, but I really haven't got his vibe on it. He just turned 30.
Damn, he needs to.
But he just got into riding, like just a couple of years ago. So he literally got his endorsement 1 week before Sturgis. So other than that, he was rolling on permit. But man, it was awesome to have him there and to share the road, with my brother.
Me and my brother, when we rode to Sturgis in 18, as much of a pain in the ass he was on that trip, it was, as time goes, I think less of
the pain in the ass.
The pain in the ass, and more the fact that like that was rad to do it with him.
So my brother's vegan also.
Oh shit!
So I don't
dude.
know if you've ever fucking tried to go to Sturgis being a vegan. All he ate was basically French fries. You know, that's like all the only thing available. So I mean, I give him props, and he ain't for camping. And I mean,
he wasn't trying to camp or anything.
He's not much of a camper, but we went to the Days End and we camped. And
Hell yeah!
He did the whole
We're going
thing.
back to Days End this year.
Are you good?
Yeah,
that was such a fun time. The first year I went to Sturgis, man, I really enjoyed that campsite.
That experience there, especially like when you get all the guys together and you just mob in.
It was so cool having, you know, we rolled in and you guys already had a site kind of there, and you're like, just roll in, and we packed the center. You know, you could hardly even move in there, but it was rad that everybody was homies there. Yeah, they're like, oh, here's our crew. You know, come on in.
You know, some people that go there, like they just don't get it, or I get it. You're camping, especially if you bring your own lady. There's always going to be a little bit of an inconvenience in that aspect. But dude, some of the best places to take shits is those fucking bathrooms that are always clean. The showers are always clean. There's a bar right there. There's food trucks.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that sucks is you can't have campfires, because usually at that time of year it's windy.
Oh yeah, very dangerous.
And it's dry, and you know, it will rain, but it's so hot that it dries out before it almost hits the ground, you know?
I think that little bar area is good enough to where you don't really need a campfire, you know? So.
But man, we haven't really discussed with our whole big circle of friends of who's planning on going. Mm-hmm. I've told everybody in my life, like, Sturgis is
it's a guarantee for you, right?
For the rest of my
Mecca.
life.
That's it. It's Mecca. You got to return there every year,
even if it's just like a turn and burn, like what y'all were talking about.
That's what Chandler did this year.
That's what. Yeah, he told me that.
I don't even think he went into Sturgis. He like rode through Main Street, and then they booked it the next day. They just, you know, were down for the ride.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, Days Inn campground just right there. You know,
that's the perfect spot.
You don't have to. You're outside of the town, so whatever you want to do riding wise, you're not like stuck having to go through all the traffic of downtown to get out. Like if you stay at the Chip or Full Throttle, all those places out there, you have to ride through downtown to get to the main highway. Riding
through downtown, that's like my least favorite part about Sturgis. I dread that every time, you know. I was down there last year, and I burnt out my tire on my FXR, so I had to get a new tire. So I went to the tire spot that's basically right there across from the Days End at one of those gas stations. I dropped my bike off, and everyone else was down at the other end of town getting food. So I had to go walk to meet them. And here was a brother on a bike playing some Nelly or something, you know, as I start off on my journey. And I walked kind of briskly. But as I got literally to the end of town to meet up with everyone else, here he is pulling up with the end of his Nelly CD. Like, we literally made it the same exact time, you know? And I was weaving through people and crowds and crosswalks and everything. It was absurd, man. Yeah, like, I can't even believe that.
I wonder if it was the greatest hits.
I hope so.
Might have been a short one.
They were all hits that I heard, so.
Oh, man, that's funny as hell. So, you know, so what about you? Like, what was it getting into bikes? Like, what was your kind of...
Man, pretty much, I grew up in eastern Idaho, over in Aberdeen, real small town. Very agricultural, farm related. My cousin had came to stay a summer with us, the one that was into bikes and dirt bikes. His dad put him on dirt bikes real young. And so he had a couple of his old dirt bikes that he wasn't using anymore. I was probably like 13 years old at the time. And my family bought these dirt bikes and brought my cousin up to, you know, hang out for the summer and teach us all how to ride these dirt bikes. He was probably 15 at the time. I think I was, probably 13. And I got a little 50, a little CR80, and then a 125. We got the 50 running, we got the 80 running, and then the 125 was too far gone, so we had to sell that one, and then we used it for money to build the other two. So I got into bikes basically as a mode of transportation to go to work, to move pipe out in the fields. I had a couple farmers that I'd go move their irrigation lines, and you know, I'd cut through the canals, cut through fields, ride the ditches
on
my little dirt
80s?
bikes. Yeah, exactly. So it was mostly the 80 I started riding on. And then I got my driver's license, you know, like a year later, so started doing that. Later in high school, I got into dirt bikes. Had a 250 when I was in high school, like was like a 1989 or something like that, YZ250. So I kind of
Two-strokes?
screwed around. Yeah, two-stroke.
Oh, shit.
Those were all my favorite. That's really what I could work on because I didn't quite understand the four-stroke, valves and timing, and it was just too advanced for me at that point. But after that, I sold my dirt bikes to go to college, to pay for some college, and then, took a really long break until I got on the street again.
What was kind of the catalyst to want you to that made you want to get back on a bike?
I just really didn't have anything else I did. Like I played frisbee golf. I had a longboard, but I had just a Ford Ranger, and I didn't really do anything for myself or anything exciting. Nothing that gave me an adrenaline rush. Nothing creative outlet or no like social club or nothing. So I guess that was one of my big things on really getting back into on the street was meeting people and riding and making friends of my own and not just hanging out with my brother's friends.
That makes sense. Yeah. So what was the bike that you had? I mean, you're looking to get back on a bike. Did you jump back on some kind of dirt bike, or did you go sport bike, or did you go?
So I was living in Boise at the time, and I had a girlfriend. We were living together. She actually had her endorsement. She was from Washington, and she was a student at BSU. Her dad was into Harleys. He had a bunch of touring bikes, and he just picked up the 72 Sportster when that first came out, So she had her endorsement, and when she came to town, she moved in with me. I had a garage, and so she had her dad bring her Honda Rebel to town, her little 250 Honda Rebel, right? And so I would... I'd take that thing out. I'd ride it around. I got my permit, and I'd just cruise around Boise on that thing. I had a blast. You know, it was cool just being on the road and going exploring on that. It was great, and so I was looking to get a Sportster. Was my goal.
Yeah.
Didn't quite ever happen. Never could put my funds together. Never could really make a Sportster happen. I broke up with my old lady, and I didn't really have anything going on in my life. I didn't have a bike to ride, and I knew.
Were you still kind of like dabbling in college yourself too?
No, at that time I'd already graduated from Wyotech. This was probably about 2010, 2011. So kind of the downturn of the economy. I never really found success with my diesel degree from Wyotech. So I was basically just working manual labor jobs. I was in a warehouse as a shipping manager, just humping boxes, not really getting paid for what I was doing.
Going to school for,
Yeah. And so I wasn't making any progress with that. And my bus was sitting down here. My Volkswagen bus was sitting down here in Twin Falls just collecting dust. And I knew I wasn't making enough money to ever pay anyone to paint it or restore it for me. I knew I didn't have the skills to paint it because I learned diesel at Wyotech. So, broke up with the old lady. And at the time, my mom was working for an offshoot as a college. And with that, she got free tuition for her dependents. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just go back to school and I'll learn how to paint so I can restore my bus, It'd give me something to do, to put my mind towards, to get off of her and, not really worry about that stuff anymore. So moved to town and, started taking the collision repair course here at the College of Southern Idaho. And, that really changed my life in a lot of ways.
How long, what year was this?
So I started there, it would have been, as a student, 2013 was when I started the collision repair program over there. And I think it was better just going more as an adult instead of an 18-year-old kid right out of college. Cause I took it more serious because there was actually something I wanted to do.
So, I mean, that perspective you get in your 30s.
Beyond a job, there was something at home that I needed to accomplish to finish this project. So that really gave me something to do and look at. And the instructor, he's a biker.
My man.
So the painter, there was two instructors over there. There was one older gentleman He did more of the dent repair and frame, heavy hit type stuff. And then the painter, he's a biker. He's been painting for like 25 years, PPG, Master Certified, Tim Pierce. And he was in one of the first Master Certified PPG technicians with Charlie Hutton.
Oh, shit, for real?
So him and Charlie are pretty tight. Yeah, he was a biker. You know, I knew he rode. I knew he was in a club. I didn't know which one, and he kind of kept that on the down low.
Yeah.
But he used to tell us about his rides and what he was doing to his bike and all this stuff. Like, wow, it's, you know, really cool, you know, what he was doing. So I graduated. When I was graduating, I learned the older instructor was going to retire, and they weren't going to replace him. They were going to have the painting instructor teach all aspects of it and kind of cover 2 years of students. But they needed someone to kind of help out in the lab. So they suggested I apply, and I got the job as the lab aide over there.
Okay, so you kind of was still learning, but also being able to help and
right. Yeah. So I was a student. I had graduated and everything, but then I basically left my toolbox there, and then got to help the next round of students.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, continue on and whatever I learned, you know, help them, and then just organize the shop, organize the tools, and you know, make things kind of flow as much as possible, make it a better experience for the next students.
That's dope.
But yeah, Tim really took me under his wing in that time. After my first year as his kind of assistant, it was the last day of school. It was my first, I was finishing my first year of kind of employment. That was really my first kind of big job, right? With benefits and really important job.
Opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually paying really well. Probably one of my best paying jobs to this day, to be honest. And so it was on the last day of school. All the students were gone, and we used that day to run around town and like see all the vendors and, you know, just see what's going on out and about in the community, because you don't really have time to get out where you're doing student stuff and paperwork. So we stopped at the lawnmower place, like riding lawnmower. One of the other instructors, the automotive instructor, was buying this big zero-turn V-twin roll bar LED light, just big-ass lawnmower
They got
situation.
V-twins and lawnmowers?
Yeah, Kawasaki V-twin.
God damn it.
Liquid-cooled. This thing is huge. It's basically a mini tractor.
It's probably a better motor than Harley's.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know about that. But
I have been saying it for years now. One of the first upgrades that pay off for the longevity of your motorcycle ownership is a ThunderMax EFI module. For those that don't know what that does for your riding experience, basically the T-Max module provides your Harley-Davidson with proprietary auto-tune technology. It has a barometric sensor and a wideband O2 sensors, which constantly read the ambient air and air-fuel ratio to optimize the performance output from your fuel-injected engine. You can order these modules with pre-downloaded base map for your current stage of performance, or have the bike brought to a dyno tuner for a custom map. I can tell you from experience, I've watched my bike on the dyno learn from every dyno pull in real time. It works, and I have been running these modules on my bikes since 2015. The team at ThunderMax are some of the best in the business, and you can catch them supporting the big events like Sturgis, all the way down to things like our camp out. ThunderMax is in the streets with you. Head on over to thunder-max.com and get yourself dialed in with a T-Max tuner and drop the Fast Life offer code at checkout and save yourself 10% on your purchase. And follow my guys on the gram at ThunderMax EFI.
Anyway, so we're out checking this out, and here's Tim, and he's looking at the other instructor's new lawnmower. He's like, fuck, I should get a lawnmower. I spend how many hours mowing my acres of lawn. He's like, if I could mow this a lot faster, it'd be more time for riding, you know? So right there, he pulls the trigger and like takes out a loan to buy a lawnmower, you know, like this $8,000 zero-turn riding lawnmower. And I was just like blown away. I was like, never really been there at, you know, someone buying something that's
That's
expensive
a
on that
very-
impulse, you know?
It's a very super adult purchase, right?
It is. I was like, what the hell, man? If you can get a loan for a lawnmower, then I should be able to get a loan for a motorcycle, right? Like, I've got a job, I've got a year's worth of good employment, I can show something to the bank. So as soon as I got off work, I went to the bank and I asked them, you know, like, how much can I get? Like, I found a Sportster on Facebook, on Craigslist or
probably.
Facebook. I can't even remember now. I found it. It was like $2,700. And so I went to the bank. I was like, I need a loan for $2,700, please. And they're like, well, the least you can do is $3,000. And here you go. I was like, that's it? You know, like that easy? So then I went the next day and I bought this Sportster, you know. I was like, if you can get a loan for a lawnmower, then I should be able to have a loan for a Sportster.
Nice.
So like, I think the payments were $100 a month for like 2 years or something. So I paid like $150 a month for like 18 months or something like that, you know?
Paid off early and everything.
Yeah. Not as much of a big deal as I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, like I really should have got into it a lot sooner.
I feel like sometimes when people have, like, for lack of a better term, mentors in this motorcycle world, then to be able to find those deals is easy, because that's what happened with my brother, his Sportster.
I wasn't afraid to jump in.
It was Dyna. Yeah.
I wasn't really afraid to jump in because I knew there was someone there that could help me.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew I had the skills at that point. It had a shit paint job. It was all trashed out. The guy I got it from had picked it up from an estate sale, and he kind of put it back together. And this guy, I guess, had some back surgery issues, and it was too rough for him. You know, the Sportster, he couldn't handle it.
What year sporty is this?
2001.
Okay.
01 Sportster.
Still a solid mount frame then, huh?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I wanted, you know. I love that old school, the whole
Vibration,
handlebar, the whole bike is shaking. I mean, it's a pain in the ass on you after have ridden FXR, you know, rubber mount situation. But, you know, that's what I always wanted. I thought it fit me very well just to begin on, you know. But I quickly outgrew it. But, I mean, I rode that thing for 5 years. So I bought the bike, at the end of that first year of employment. That summer, I took off. I wasn't in town that summer. I went to my grandpa's in NorCal to help him out on his ranch. And so I kind of just had that stored at my house all summer until I got back to it in August. And then I started riding it a little bit, just mostly highways around town. You know, still very nervous about riding it, still scared of it. And then my boss called me to come hang out one time, you know. Called me to come hang out at the bar and, you know, come meet everybody and, you know, meet some people to ride with. And so from there it was on.
For real?
You know, just hanging out with the club scene. You know,
I think that's still good though. I think, you know, we, especially in this podcast, we kind of try to offer a different solution than the club. But, you know, depending on where you're at in America, the club might be your closest opportunity to camaraderie within motorcycles.
Right.
So I'm not against it at all. You know what I'm saying?
You know, for me at that time, it was a great opportunity to meet people and to learn more things about motorcycles, because I was still pretty new to it, you know. I'd never been on the interstate before. And we were going on a run to the next town over to Gooding to go check out. They put on a drag racing event out at an old closed airstrip out in Gooding. And so we were going out there to go scope it out. And so I meet everybody, and we're taking the interstate to get over there. And I'd never been on the interstate before, so you know, it really just helped seeing everybody, you know, get on the interstate, how fast they're going, how they merge. Pressure. Yeah, basically, I don't want to fuck it up, you know? So, they just really helped push me to see what was possible. Yeah. And
it seems like you took a very, very slow approach, or very, not slow in a bad way, but like more respecting the motorcycle, like not trying to rush it, not trying to go, like, I think I can wheelie this thing and, you know, go fuck it up. It's like you took a different approach towards gradually enjoying a motorcycle, because I don't know how you would have been able to just leave the bike here and go to California for 2 months
I was
in the
scared.
summer.
Yeah, honestly, I was scared. I didn't want to hurt myself. Dude. I've never broken a bone. I've never had any surgery ever.
Me either.
Teeth is my biggest thing that I've ever had done.
Yeah, I guess just pulling them.
Right. Yeah. I had a gum surgery. I was like 14 years old, and they said I had receding gum lines.
Damn, that young?
Yeah, and so they're like, so they scrape the skin off the roof of your mouth in little strips, and then they sew it onto your gums to like build it back up. So that was me at like 13 or 14 or something.
That doesn't seem right.
It was fucking brutal, man. No, it sucked.
So apparently from all my last year's, and I still got plenty more to do.
You've been getting into it.
As you get older, everybody's gums recede. Right. So, but it's more of a like, if you, that's why you have to constantly go get your teeth cleaned, because it's the stuff that gets underneath your gums and your teeth that cause that thing to kind of shrink up. And when you clean it, they grow back. Right. Maybe not 100% back, because it's always going to naturally recede. So that's weird that they would go that far into it.
I think he just probably wanted money.
Yeah.
It came down to that.
There's always been those scams, and especially in Dallas, like you hear them all the time, where they're constantly putting, like they're pulling kids' teeth because of Medicare, and putting in like fake teeth on these little kids and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I think it was just money grab situation.
Root canals and stuff, they ain't good to get.
For real?
At all. I've had a few of them and teeth fall out.
Yeah, I kind of like I need 3 root canals right now on molars, and I kind of would rather just do like 2 implants and a bridge.
Right. That's about the best way to go.
So I don't know. It's been like, I've got the cosmetic in the front. I want a silver or gold tooth right here.
Right. Yeah. Like, see, I'm missing one. I got half of mine ready to go.
Right here.
I never went back and finished it up. I moved from Boise. My dentist was in Boise, and I just moved here and never got it capped off. So I got the stud. I got titanium. It's ready to receive a tooth, but I just fucking don't go in. I hate the fucking dentist. And what's weird was that's what I wanted to be when I was in like 8th grade. You take like the career aptitude. They're like trying to plug you in what you should be doing,
You'll be a good drug dealer.
Well, I probably would have been better off that way. But I mean, I was a pretty intelligent kid, like I was in the upper categories. And so, they're like, oh, you'd be doctor dentist came up, and I saw the salary for dentist. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. But then I realized what you got to do to be a dentist. Man, that's a gross ass job, just being in someone's nasty ass mouth all day. And I hate him. Why do I want to be that guy?
Yeah.
I don't.
When I was getting because I was going in almost like every 2 weeks for all the stuff I was getting done, and
probably got a little bit more acclimated to it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like I was nervous to go to the dentist, because when I was a kid, I went a couple times, and then as a young adult, I was like, fuck that. That shit hurts. But then I started looking at my arms, and I got these tattoos and just all these things. I'm like, and I've always do this every aspect of my life when I feel like I'm not capable. Mm-hmm. I just think of all the other people in the world that do it. Right. And same thing when we were trying to build our studio. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But hey,
there's dumber people that have done this.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
This is obtainable.
It's not rocket science. And that's the same thing I thought of when I rebuilt my FXR or my Sportster. Yeah. There's way stupider people that have done this.
Yeah, instead of like
succeeded. Yeah, it doesn't take that much.
You don't like completely doubt yourself. You just understand that, like, look, I know I'm not an idiot, and I know that there's information out there that I can figure it out, and I also know that if I reach a point where I don't know what I'm doing, I know I can find help.
Yep. And you got people, enough people to help you out. And YouTube nowadays, man, huge lifesaver. I mean,
it's kind of a weird thing because a lot of like all the paint that I learned, there wasn't a YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But I was fortunate to work in a shop where there was other people doing it. Right. So YouTube was just work, being there, being around it. And I think that is as great as YouTube has become to kind of expose and show people like so many things at will. When you're fucking like, you can't sleep and you want to know how to do this, you can find it on YouTube and whatnot. But back then I had to go hang out the shop on my days off to get
put in the hard work. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's maybe the only downside to it. like YouTube's great for me because I understand how to obtain knowledge,
right?
And then I understand how to appreciate the instant knowledge of YouTube and all these places.
That's why I'm thankful for my college education, man. You know, because it really gave you the true science, you know, behind everything, the manufacturers, ICAR certification. Yeah. You know, you're in it. You're not just listening to Billy Bob, who's been doing it in his shed for, you know. And if you don't know any better, you think that's good. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't mix Bondo on cardboard.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to go pee real quick, and then we're going to get into this you starting to ride with people story, okay?
All right.
Yeah, so tell me what it was like. So you start riding with the you got the invite. You're on the highway now. How does that go?
Man, it was a blast. It was like the first time I'd ever gone triple-digit speeds. Like,
oh, shit.
Yeah, man.
That's screaming on a sporty, though.
It is. I was wrapped out to try to catch up to everyone else, you know, because everyone else was on big twins, really. I was pretty much the only Sportster hanging around. So, you know, I really beat on that thing.
Yeah.
The first year I had it, basically kept it in its form that I got it. Just tried to maintain and upgrade, and as shit would break, just try to keep it on the road.
Keep it maintained,
you know, that first year, I didn't do anything over that first winter. That next summer, really started to ride a lot. I had, let's see. Yeah, I painted it. After that first year, I had a couple of issues with my ignition coil, tires, cables breaking, some electrical stuff. And then, so completed that first year, and then that's where I tore it down that winter, rebuilt the engine, and then I did the paint job on it. And yeah, the wood grain basically was the reason why I bought my Sportster.
So it had a wood grain paint job kind of thing going on?
No, it was stock paint. But when I was taking the paint courses, we kind of started to dabble in custom.
Okay.
You know, in my second year, once we had a solid kind of understanding of how paint works and the process, we took a week and kind of did some custom paint. And my instructor, Tim, showed us the wood grain technique, you know. And
honestly, I don't know how to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, super simple.
I know tricks. I've seen it done. I kind of know the process, but I've never done it.
You can't mess it up.
Okay.
That's basically it, you know, because it's wood.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
random.
It's natural. It's literally, I paint it with my fingers. Like I get in there and just mess it all up with my hand. But anyway, he showed us that's possible. And I had worked doing wood floor installs and refinishing a few years prior. So I had experience in working with wood and all sorts of different types and shades and colors. And I always liked working in wood. That's really, wood shop was what got me off of the dentist path. I thought I wanted to be a dentist, and then I signed up for wood shop as an extracurricular. So that's really what got my hands dirty was, you know, wood shop and working with wood. And I really enjoyed that.
Think about that for a minute. Like, there's so many people in this world, especially in the corporate world, that's never created something with their hands.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't believe it. I think it was like 6th grade was when they let us get in wood shop. Like, I couldn't believe they let us run saws and some of the equipment and stuff, you know.
It's the 90s, man.
But what was weird, like, you know, as I was working my way through middle school, that wood shop got smaller and smaller. They cut off portions of it to build a computer lab.
So what year did you graduate?
I graduated 2006, high school.
All right, so you're the same age as my wife, 34?
Yeah, I just turned 34.
All right, so I graduated in 01, you're 06.
You're about 5 years ahead. And that's right when I was getting into high school. So basically, was when you were getting out.
When I was getting into high school, what they were pumping down our throats was college, you know, computer careers. It's a .com boom. Yep. There's all these things going on. And everything about, you know, trades, whether it was auto body, wood shop, welding, was all kind of like shoved under the rug. You know what I'm saying?
And I saw it happen, man. And that's exactly the time that it
So
happened.
it was starting.
It was closing down right behind me.
Yeah.
I caught the tail end of all of it. I was able to take wood shop 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then getting into high school, they had the ag shop. So I was able to take welding. I took structures, where I learned how to do wiring and framing. We had a drafting class out there. We had small gas engines, large gas engines, and then welding. And then welding 2, I think, or something like welding projects. And once I found the wood shop, I ditched all the other kind of academic pursuits and just wanted to do stuff in my hands. I just wanted to be in the shop. So I took every shop class available. Most of them I took twice. By the end of it, you know, I just loved being in the shop. It was fun because there was all the tools that I didn't have at home. You know, so that's. And after that, man, they started closing the programs down. They stopped offering the large gas engines. They stopped offering structures. They stopped offering the drafting. They stopped offering a lot of it. And I think they maybe even couldn't find people to teach it, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the whole, like across the board, across the nation, that they took this whole initiative with education where they were trying to, push these college degrees instead of apprenticeships. I mean, in the motorcycle industry or just the motorcycle culture itself, it finds itself around the tattoo culture. It finds itself around a lot of these kind of fringe, scenes and cultures and things, right?
And those are not really looked highly upon around here, man.
Yeah.
Very religious area around here. So, growing up, I moved to Idaho, I think it was like 2nd grade, something like that. And then when I moved out to the country out in Aberdeen, I think that was like 4th grade, there was no one with tattoos out there, you know? And if they did, like, I don't know, they were scary or something, Like, it's totally different nowadays. But just where I grew up, like, that wasn't a thing, Like, you just wasn't exposed to that kind of culture until Motorcycle Mania. Until I seen that, holy shit, I was hooked.
Who wasn't? You know what I mean?
I think that generation, that age, it just bit me. And that's really, I think, what pushed me into doing a lot of it. That stuff was watching those sort of shows.
Same, 100%. I like like you were saying, you even took some drafting in college, right?
So I just graduated with my drafting degree. I had one straggling class. I finally got the degree last year, but it was like 2 years ago I started it.
So I've said this on the podcast a million times, and I'm sorry, but like just pursuing that out of high school with this notion of what drafting and what architecture was versus what I found it to be when I worked inside of a place. I'm glad I dodged a bullet in that.
Man, to be honest, you kind of got my brain switched off of drafting. Was when I met you before the camp out last year, 2 years ago at the house.
Sorry, I ruined your life.
No, you didn't, man. You just kind of verified what I had already been thinking. At that time, I was already working as a painter, painting airplanes, making a pretty decent wage. And then I was looking at these jobs that were potentially available as a draftsman, and they were comparable to what I was already making as an airplane guy. You're a painter, working on airplanes.
And think about it right now. Think about the bullet you probably dodged too right now with all this AI technology coming out. And at first I was interested in it. Man, we're kind of jumping all over the place. No, it's all good.
But
it's fun.
I had gotten laid off from the college at my lab aid position during the 2020, coronavirus, when they shut down all campuses and everything. So at that point,
you stayed there for a few years then,
I was there for like 5 years.
Nice.
I got, just barely got vested and got, all the benefits and everything else. So I definitely enjoyed my time there, but, again, I didn't want to leave, and I didn't really want to get a job at a body shop per se, just doing the painting thing. At that time, coronavirus, pandemic, whatever, stay-at-home orders. I was like, oh, work from home? That sounds cool. Like, let's be a drafter and work on a computer and work remote, and I can, be in my shop and work on my bikes and, work remotely. But after doing it, man, I just didn't enjoy it.
So what programs they still use AutoCAD and things like that now?
I learned AutoCAD, learned Revit. It's like BIM modeling, the like in place, more like picture realistic type.
More like
instead of more drawing,
interior design kind of. Like layout kind of play, like they do that a lot with like apartment. Yeah,
you kind of build the wall and then you drag the wall out instead of drawing a bunch of lines to trace it all out. I don't know. So we got into some of that stuff. I mean, it was cool designing it all, it was fun, like arranging all the furniture and figuring out how things, fit and doing that whole thing. I really enjoyed it, but
goes back to like you changing your room around a lot.
Yeah, no, but I have some construction experience. I've done some framing. I've done roofing. I've done wood flooring. I've done lots of maintenance on my own house. I know how to build the whole house, So I built it on paper. Now I want to build the whole thing. I want to see it in real life. I want to walk around it. I want to be involved with it. I want to see it come to fruition, and it just wasn't appealing to me. The money just wasn't there, the appeal, everything else. And so, you kind of turned my mind from there. And then I showed up to the camp out and I saw my machinist's FXR, all of his custom work. That was really kind of the first time I'd really been exposed to his work, seeing it in person, and just blown away at the things that you could do.
So you came to the rain year.
Oh, yeah.
This is the rain year.
We got snow. We left in snow. Our first 100 miles was
That
snow.
was the year that, didn't y'all link up with Eddie?
That was on the way back. They linked up with him, so I didn't ride with him.
Rode down with was it Wayne?
So that was the year that we linked up with, met up with Joe Kidd and J.R. Cottle, Wayne Man. Yeah. So Wayne Man was the first guy, the original guy that I reached out to. On your posts that say where you guys coming from or who's riding from where. Wayne Man, J.R. Cottle, was the only one that I seen coming from the West. I seen him, posting he was coming from California. They were doing those
taco things, right? They were doing those.
They're doing Monday night taco night thing.
They were doing that,
right?
That's a good point though, because right now is when that shit starts happening.
Exactly. So I'm going to tell everybody out there that it's 100% true. Get out there, put yourself out there. If you want to go, put it out there that you're going to go, where you're going, when you're leaving, and link up with someone.
Here's the other thing. What I've been trying to tell people is you are ground zero for this. All y'all. Camp out, whatever took place, whether it rains, the party how you want. That's all on you there. But the common denominator or the common thing that happens is what happened when you guys all linked up.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Kidd is now a friend for life, and obviously you kind of got a good mentor with him because he's such an OG with all this stuff.
Well, he really turned me on to a lot of things. You know? And you did too. It was really.
Did you ride the FX or the
I rode
Sporty?
the Sportster the first year, man.
Nice.
So you really pushed me to get out and cross state lines and meet up with people. And since then, that meetup has turned into it's such a beautiful thing in our little group chat, Wild Hogs.
Yeah, Wild Hogs. That was 21, right?
Yes,
21.
Yeah, camp out
4.
Yes,
4.
Camp out 4.
And then because I remember that because that was the year there was a lot of snow everywhere.
Yep.
And I remember that there were some of y'all like. Eddie was telling me a story about how he stopped at a hotel somewhere, got kind of snowed in.
Yeah, that was
and then y'all linked up with him.
That was on their way back.
Yeah.
JR and Joe linked up with them on their way back. I think it was New Mexico or Arizona or something. They got stuck with snow. And I got stuck with snow. We had to stop in Cheyenne. Last year? No, it was that. That first year, Camp Out 4, we got stuck in Cheyenne. Mm-hmm. It was snow. It was slick as hell. And we had to stop. We only made 100 miles that day from Nebraska just barely into Wyoming. We could not make it anymore. Snow was a big factor that year.
Yeah, but just knowing you over these last couple of years, it seems like you hit the ground running. And I don't know if it's because, whatever you know, whatever, like, you know, you gained whatever perspective from the podcast, like, to do it. But then, like I said, I feel like when you linked up with Joe, like he's infectious, man. Like you can't.
He is.
And you don't. And you kind of want to experience it with him, man. You want to do that.
I didn't want to leave, man. We had such a great time riding to the camp out, and I think it was like only 3 days. But you know, it feels like a week. And I was sad that we had to ride home alone. You know, that we didn't get to continue that travels. It wasn't until the East Coast Jam this year that I got to ride. I'll pretty much ride home with Joe, you know, never really ride it because he always just keeps going. He keeps going further than everyone else.
So, you know, ultimately, got to give you credit. Okay. Triple Crown. You know what I'm saying? Should have started the podcast by saying that so people understand that. But, you know, how was, you know, just so that we can, for context, well, I'm still sober enough. Yeah, man. So this last year, the whole run me through the Triple Crown process that you did.
Okay. So, I mean, it really started from Camp Out 4. You know, you inspired me to get outside of my comfort zone, to ride far, cross state lines, just show up, you know, make the trip, link up with someone. And that's exactly what I did, you know. Met up with Joe and JR that first year. Camp Out 4, we met up in Albuquerque, and then we had a cold ride that night, made it over to Tucumcari. The California boys couldn't hang anymore.
That's right. We had the fucking Airbnb house.
Yeah.
And y'all showed up to it. That's right.
That was so cool to ride into, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a warm welcoming, and everyone there was super rad. It was cool to meet everybody, all the names that I've been, you know, hearing on the podcast. And, it was super awesome. Yeah. No, I was stoked to meet up with everybody, and super honored to ride with Joe. When JR said he was coming from California, he was the only one from the West. So I messaged him. I said, yo, I'm in Idaho. I want to go. Which way are you going? You know, what's your route?
Yeah, because if he was doing Salt Lake, that would have been awesome. Like, easy to link up there.
And that was the original plan, was he was going to run 80 across.
West,
he was going to run 80 across, and then I was just going to drop down, link up with him, and go. And then he says, hey, I got Joe Kidd coming with me, and we're taking the south route. I was like, oh, shit. All right, well. So we went through Moab. We stayed the night in Moab, and then linked up with them the next day in Albuquerque. And then cold ride to Tucumcari. All the California boys wanted to call it quits. And then, so it was really cold up there in the high desert, man.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
enough. Over there. Yeah, Don was cold too. So we got a hotel room there. That's kind of when we first really started meeting each other.
Did y'all stay like on the 66 area thing, or just grabs whatever?
We just grabbed a spot, I think Motel 6 right there, Tucumcari.
Yeah. I drove through it on the way up here. I was trying to, because the sun was going down.
Right.
I was just trying to catch some like Route 66 neon. And shit. So.
And there's not a whole lot in Tucumcari, man. There's like 2 main roads. There ain't shit out there.
It's Route 66. That's it.
It's cool. It was cool to ride. I've ridden it a couple times. Been past there a few times now. But anyway, that first night kind of linked up and met everybody and got introduced. Also on that trip was Moses.
Yeah, Moses, dude.
Yeah, he was on that trip. He linked up.
He's hard, because, dude, Moses. Because I had so that trip, 21, was also when I did a solo podcast trip to California.
Right, he met up with you for lunch or something?
We met up for dinner in Monterey.
Yeah.
Awesome time, awesome dude. And another good friend showed up to that, and we all kind of hung out. And then he came to the camp out.
Yeah.
And then he kind of started becoming a workout guy.
Yeah, it was right after the camp out. He was going,
because he went down to San Antonio after that.
Yeah.
To see his mom.
Yeah, his mom was having some cancer troubles, I think, at that time. But really, at that time of the camp out, he was like in a gap process of his school, and so he is going to UCLA to become a professor. So he's on a whole scholastic endeavor, man. I don't even know. Like, he's on some other level.
He was a good dude, man.
He knows like 5 languages. Very smart.
He's military too,
awesome.
I believe.
Yeah, veteran. Great dude. So he was on that trip, and then Jet Cack, Henry Bankshaft. He works over at Trask.
Oh, okay.
He had put out a message that he was looking for someone to ride with out of Phoenix. And so I think you shared it, and then JR and Joe picked him up along the way in Phoenix. So it was a group of 4 that Don and I met there in Albuquerque. So it was the 6 of us riding out to the camp out, and we had a great time.
They were so open arms when they rolled in to meet us.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just like straight off love.
Well, that's the thing, man. That's the whole point of it. And that's what we try to tell people about this is like, you know, the excitement of having a place to go. And then like when you try to tell people like, look, you know, you need to go to Sturgis, you need to go to Daytona, you need to do all the jams, you need to do all this stuff, right? But, you know, the camp out is just like a melting pot for all the bikes where you can get a vibe of an FXR jam. You can get a vibe of Sturgis, and you can get a vibe of all these, but in a very microcosm of like just small event, smaller people.
What I love about the camp out is that it draws people from the whole nation, you know, from all over the country, and you're able to mix it up with everyone from different areas of the country, become friends, and then now you got a whole nationwide network of people, you know, that you can crash with and meet up with. Yeah, 100%, you know, true, but you got to show up to meet them, you know, and to make that connection happen.
Yeah, yeah. So Triple Crown this year. I got to hear it.
So yeah, basically riding with Joe, and that was really the first time I'd seen FXRs, you know. Kind of heard about them on your podcast. There's a couple around here, you know. Most of them are chopped up, you know, D-rake, high neck. And so I didn't really know too much about the whole FXR scene, culture, too much about the big twin bikes. I was a Sportster guy, dude. I didn't know shit about big twin. And then, just seeing Joe's bike, how he took care of it. I think he was on he was on an RP at that time.
That's right.
A white RP. And then he traded John Beach at the camp out. He traded him a Sportster Sport. They just like swapped keys at the camp out. I was like, and it just blew me away, you know, like to ride another bike kind of untested, you know. It was a really low mile bike, but they just basically swapped keys and rode a separate bike home. And it just blew my mind how, you know, how cool it was and how original he had his stuff, and, you know, what kind of things these bikes would do. So that really inspired me. And then I just knew I had to get FXR was going to be my next bike upgrade from the Sportster. It just seemed like natural progression. You know. So after that, we went to Sturgis. Also rode with Joe. He was on another FXR.
Yeah. So you came to Sturgis with us in you were staying with us because 21 was when we all camped there. And then because 22, me and my wife just drove there. Right. So we didn't do the camping thing. And I remember all y'all showed up, and Joe showed up wild as fuck.
Oh yeah, of course. We coming in hot. He was playing some E40 or something on his stereo. Just probably had I think it was blue underglow on that bike. I think at that time or something.
He's the only one who could pull it off.
Yeah, it was cool though. But anyway, just saw what he did on those bikes, you know, on those machines, and just seeing what they're capable of, and you know, how popular they were getting. I knew I had to get in quick. So got my bike, and then, that was the goal, basically, before I even had the FXR. I'd watched that year, 2021, I'd watched the 3 guys complete it.
Who were the 3 guys that did it in 21?
21 was Action Jackson.
That's what I was thinking, him,
And then it was Kevin O'Neill, which is Tibbs. And then it was Jay McCauley.
Okay.
And so those 3 guys completed it, and I watched Joe present them with the, you know, the award or whatever, the Triple Crown award. And just the reception that they got, and man, I just thought those guys were cool as shit for riding those bikes as far as they did.
Yeah.
You know, so I knew.
And if you really think about it, like the Triple Crown situation, I'm jumping here. I think it's easier for. No, it's not easier for anybody. But if you're in the right spot, you know, it could be two very hard trips and one easy trip, or one hard trip and 2 easier trips.
Man, there's a lot of ways to skin that thing, you know, just depends on where you live, but ultimately you still got to show up. I think it's pretty much the same, you know. It's not about the miles. It's about the memories, completing
Yeah.
it, challenging yourself, the experience, you know. I think you're set up. You're in a good location right there.
I think you're in a better one.
You think so?
100%.
Man.
Think about it. 2 of the crowns.
Right.
Right. Or 2 of the
Yeah, I got 2 kind of
day
easy
trips.
rides. Yeah, day trips. Yeah,
Right.
third day, 1 day trips.
And 1 worst
2-week
case. Yeah, 2 week. But,
week if you're fast.
I mean, if you're just going, like, say you're doing the East Coast Jam from here, so you're roughly 2,000 miles.
Direct.
Yeah, direct. So let's just say 3 day there, 3 day back. Yeah, so a week trip.
Right.
So that's like 1 solid trip. But you can leave here today and be in Sturgis in a day. You can definitely meet.
It's like 700 to Sturgis or something.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'm 11.
You could do it.
I'm 11 to Sturgis.
Okay.
I'm 1,700 to Reno.
Okay.
And I'm 1,700 in New York. So
Yeah. You're south quite a bit too.
I'm over 1,000 every one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
See,
I don't really.
When you're in this part of town, neck of the woods, it seems farther.
But after have done it, it's not that big anymore. You know, like it doesn't seem that monumental after having completed it all. Beforehand, I thought it was, you know, a massive thing, and it was. It was a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
it was a huge,
especially
trip,
the way you did it.
Right.
That's the thing.
So we went the long way. We went the very long way.
You didn't earn it by like just, you know, shortest distance possible.
Yeah, we didn't go
You
the
earned it
direct
in a
route.
mile and like a memory thing. And honestly, you know,
I feel like we did it all on that trip. I mean, every possible thing that could have been done on our route, we did. All the highlights, man.
Yeah.
I've never been to the East Coast ever before. The camp out was the furthest east I'd ever been, you know, so I really had no experience of the East Coast. And it was just really cool.
one of the coolest things ever. And this was kind of, unfortunately, the first Joe Kid podcast, episode 15, classic podcast, you know, classic me being a fucking dumbass, but the rest of the,
Hey, we're all learning,
Joe carried the show. Honestly, man, that whole day, just Joe Kid and Tony Love coming into,
Tony Love,
and coming into to Austin, staying at Mark's, and like to capture, you know, I didn't know Joe that well when that I knew him from when he helped me at Born Free,
right?
And
with
I knew
his
him,
Leatherman, right?
Exactly, with his Leatherman, and I knew him from like when I was looking for my first FXR. I actually had a conversation with him,
right?
And you know, to have him come through, because we actually talked and hung out a little bit in Daytona. I come home, and then now it's a month later, and we're going to Giddy Up, and he's finally on his way back from enjoying Daytona.
Yeah.
So Joe's been, you know, a lot of the, like, I've lived a lot of really cool stories and lived a really full life on this motorcycle, but when I met Joe for the first time, he was also inspiring to me to capture it this way.
Right.
Because he was already just living it. He wasn't like some dude on the gram trying to fucking promote it and like do a YouTube channel, none of that shit.
He's
he was
a
just,
real biker.
He's just doing it.
He's a real biker.
He's like, what do y'all call it? The hog shit, right?
He's a wild hog.
Yeah.
Like, that's hog
And
shit.
so there's something so infectious about that. If you really, really, you know, I mean, there's so many people who love motorcycles, and I'm not saying that he's got the only way to do it, but the way he does it, it definitely resonates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you love the travel, you know, I think that's where it is. If you love the open road and the travel and just the nomadic way of that,
the experience, the adventure.
then Joe has the formula for you.
Yeah, he's definitely people person. I think, you know, that comes with his degree in, I think it's sociology or something.
Yeah.
And he's just a people person, man. And yeah, he's a real biker. You know, how can you not want to be like him?
Yeah.
You know, the whole time I've been hanging out with him, I've just been trying to observe and figure out what it is he does, his recipe, his sauce, you know. He's giving me some little hints here and there, and you know, he's trying to figure out how to bring me into the fold somehow, you know, try to work together.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool, man.
I think
but
I think he represents something that's really dope, and he shows people
he's not in it for the money.
He's not. And, you know, and to be fair, you know, we talked about this last on the Hoggish podcast, right? It's not about the money for a lot of things. And for me, honestly,
it keeps the lights on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, let's
but
be
that's
real.
His life.
No. Yeah, for
He'd be
sure.
living it.
Well, here's the deal. This is where it really matters. Put $1 million on the table and give it to me. Put $1 million and give it to Joe. We're probably going to do the same shit.
Yeah.
You know,
you're a real biker.
We're going to ride bikes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to I'm not going to become rich and then not ride bikes. I'm going to ride bikes more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
So
that's
now
his goal. That's his
we have
ultimate
different
priority.
we have different responsibilities that we have to take care of to enjoy that practice.
Right.
And I'm not saying that my way is the right way. It's just the way it works if like you're living a life like mine.
Right.
And if you're living a life like Joe's, then he's got a formula too.
Right.
And there's other guys out there too that have formulas with different lifestyles that still feed the beast of this same narrative, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I want to fucking just. I grew up poor.
Oh yeah, me too.
You know what
man.
I mean?
I feel like we.
And
have
I'm not saying.
I feel like we have a very similar background, man.
I'm not saying that I want to be rich because I don't think I'll ever be rich in the motorcycle world, right?
Yeah.
But I want to just. I want the stresses
Stability.
to not be there anymore.
You want some stability.
Because right now, dude, I mean, circle of trust in the rest of the podcast world. This last couple of years, I've been solving problems in my life. My hygiene with my teeth has been a problem. That was a big fucking financial undertaking.
Yeah.
And now I'm, people, if you're an OG fan of the podcast, your boy got tax problems. But I should have all this stuff done and over by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And I'll be just baseline.
Good.
And that to me, I'm fucking more excited than anything for. And yeah, I just got another ST. It's probably not the best thing to do with a tax problem, but at the same time, it's like, it's fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to live too.
I want what I want.
Yeah, you got to enjoy life too, man.
But I mean, at the same time, it's like, I think Joe is, there's something about Joe that like, I feel like in the history of this era, there's going to be some way that he's going to be immortalized, in my opinion.
I hope so.
I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I think that as he continues to do what he does and he inspires more guys like yourselves, Hoggish and everybody else in the Barella brothers, Barella brothers, as more people, find a close niche to follow that path, he's just pushing people to ride. And that's always going to be
preaching the gospels of FXR and riding far, man. He's owned over 200 FXRs. I don't know who can say that. I don't know who.
That's 6.
A museum. Yeah. So, I mean, he definitely has the experience, like for real, miles, he's got the experience. He's been there, done that. He's seen it. He knows.
Yeah.
He was a huge help with building my bike,
So we got to get back to your story.
Oh yeah. What's the story?
The whole Triple Crown trip. The first one of the year is always East Coast Jam.
Yeah, East Coast Jam.
What was the run leaving here, Twin Falls? Where was the run? What was the path?
The path was we were dropping down south. Don and I went down through Jackpot, Wells. We stayed the night in Ely that first night.
Where's Ely at?
Basically middle north Nevada.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yep. I think
That's
it's on
close.
50, right? Does 50
I think it is
cross
50.
there? 50
yeah.
cuts across through there.
Loneliest highway, baby.
Yeah. So we continued south. We went to Vegas. We hit the Hoover Dam. I'd never seen that before, ridden across the Hoover Dam.
So you rode it. Did you actually go up to the part where you can walk across the Tillman Bridge?
No, we didn't do any of that.
Okay.
We just basically pulled into the parking lot. We were going to get off and go walk and go check it out. And then Joe called and said, hey, we're in Kingman. You better
and that's
be there
100 miles, I think, right?
Yeah. So we've just jammed out of there and met him in Kingman. We met him and Sean Rosendahl in in Kingman, and then we jammed out to Flagstaff is where we met up with Omar Velasquez, Team Proven. And then, it was the 5 of us rolling
Nice.
from there. From there, man, it was that first day I had a breakdown. I fucking broke my belt. Where were we? We were in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, when I started feeling something happening. Something was weird, felt like tar snakes or like some jumping or skipping. Like I didn't know what it was. And we stopped to get gas.
Was it like a straight sheared broken belt, or was it like the teeth?
It was tearing off teeth.
Okay.
So I had gotten a 65 tooth pulley, and I guess it had been worn and sharpened, and I'd ridden on it quite a bit, but I think it was tearing at my teeth. And so noticed at the gas stop in Santa Rosa that I was losing teeth. And so we cranked it up, pulled the belt as tight as we could to try to,
minimize
keep tension on it, at least to keep some tension moving it. And then it was 5 miles outside of Tucumcari where it finally just spit the belt out. And Omar, Team Proven, pushed me for 5 miles, pegged. So yeah, he was the only dude that could do it because he didn't have a crash bar, so he could stick his leg out without the fairing and body and everything in the way. So 5 miles, midnight, Route 66. Oh my God, it was insane.
There's like a small little gas stop close to the border, which is between Tucumcari and the border of Texas. Is that where y'all were trying to get to? Where were y'all trying to go?
We were trying to make it to Amarillo, was our ultimate, hotel destination. But with my belt issues, there was one point I couldn't get over 35 miles an hour. And then climbing some of those hills, coming down the hills, I'd get to maximum 55. And, there was only a couple teeth on the belt at all. So we crashed in Tucumcari. It was Memorial Day. I went and got a U-Haul the next morning, a trailer, and then the smallest truck they could. Joe had put out the SOS, FXR Bazaar had shared it, and the whole community had kind of, put
Came
SOS out. And someone said, hey, there's a shop here in Amarillo, got a belt and a pulley. And
Amarillo, it seems like it's become like this death trap for FXRs coming into Amarillo.
Man, it's Tucumcari, I think.
Or maybe it's more New Mexico and then Texas is a savior.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
I think Tucumcari is about where Joe had his head gasket blow out, and then it finally ended in Amarillo.
Okay.
But anyway, in Amarillo, this guy John Stromberg is out there. He's a painter. Lucky Sevens Custom.
Yeah.
You know him?
He's reached out a couple times. He's a solid dude. Yeah.
You should have him on the podcast. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's got some excellent work.
He's coming to camp out.
He has?
No, he needs to.
Oh, definitely. I hope he'll be there this year. Yeah. Excellent dude. We went to Born Free, Texas with him. Rode with him. He's got a killer Kenny Boyce, like Baby Blue, Flame. He does some excellent work.
Nice.
Killer painter. So yeah, he knew someone with the belt and the pulley, and so pulled up. He had it waiting, shop door open, and we pulled in.
Got to primary inner and outer off.
Yeah, I had no idea. I'd never been that deep in a big twin before. Yeah. I didn't really know what that entailed.
Swing arm.
Yeah. It was a big deal.
Sometimes a belt is the most maintenance free until you have to maintenance it.
Right. So I don't know how many hours they charge at the dealer for that, but basically we got it done in an hour and a half.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
Something like that. We just busted ass, and it
was probably a 4-hour job at
and
the dealer.
It was me. I was in it. Joe was sitting on a chair over my shoulder, barking orders. Telling me what to do. And I did it all myself, and I learned real quick. But after that, we got it rolling. We're back on the road. We made it through Oklahoma City, got Torchy's Tacos up there.
Not bad. Yeah,
delicious. My favorite spot. And then we made it just over the border into, I think, Arkansas.
Thank you.
Crashed for the night. And then I think the next day we made it through Tennessee into Memphis. You're going to have to ask Joe about getting barbecue in Memphis. He left it up to me to pick the food spot. So I thought barbecue. I picked an unassuming place on Google, and it turned out it was in the heart of the hood. The most dangerous area. And my Idaho white ass had no idea, what we were getting
you guys
into.
Want some potatoes?
Joe was like really freaking out. He was like seriously panicked being there at that location. But it was the best barbecue I've ever had.
Yeah.
It was just meat, sauce, and a bun. And it just blew my mind how good it was, man. Legit.
So one of the best barbecue joints I've ever had in my life was in Memphis as well, but it had like a Cadillac in the place.
Interesting.
But I don't know. It's been like 10 years since I was there. I don't even know where. I can't even find it on Google Maps. I have no idea where it was.
Interesting.
It was almost like it might have been a dream.
Maybe someone will reach out to you and tell you what it is.
It had like a car in it or some shit. But Memphis seems like it has like a lot of vibe, like cool shit to do. But it is kind of like one of those, like, you want to have a escort. You want to know somebody to take you through it.
Yeah, you need a local almost.
Dude, when I was coming back from Indian Larry, that's where my head gasket, or not, my compression release blew out.
Oh man!
In one of the worst parts of Memphis.
Oh right.
Where when my bike came to a stop, and I'm on the side of the highway, and I'm like trying to figure out what it is, and I got my flashlight on my phone out, and I look down. There's casings everywhere for bullet shells on the highway.
Wild. Yeah.
Like, it's like the street sweepers pushed them out of the middle of the highway to the service or to the shoulder. Yeah. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then I hand screwed my compression release back in.
Right.
But it was still leaking, and I kind of limped it to this hotel, which was clearly where hookers hung out.
You bought a room for the hour?
Well, no, they sold it to me for the night.
Oh, well, that's good.
But the shower didn't work. And it was one of those places where it didn't feel like right to go complain.
Right.
I got a room.
Yeah.
And my bike is right in front of my window. I'll open the window. So if I heard anybody fuck with my shit, and I just slept in my clothes because I didn't want herpes.
Where were we? We were in Lubbock, Texas, and we had a room like that. We checked in.
There's no whores in Lubbock.
Dude, so, well, we thought it was nice, man, but I think they had just, like, changed ownership, so they just slapped the new label up, which was a fancy hotel, but it was still a shitty hotel. So they give us the room, and we walk in, open up the door, and the TV was, like, laying on the floor, like it had fallen off the wall and shit, and, like, lights were broken. I'm like, they're going to think we did this, you know? We got another room, and it wasn't very much better.
It wasn't much better.
No, at that point we were so tired. I just needed a place to close my eyes. I really didn't care.
Yeah. Memphis to where?
Memphis, we had lunch, and then that night we crashed in Knoxville. Kind of went downtown.
That's a good rip.
Gay Street, and we went downtown right by the train. It was like 2 a.m, and the train comes rolling through. Man, it was a cool little downtown vibe. Just hanging out. It was basically just us. The bikes parked out on the main street, and recapping the day.
I haven't stayed in Knoxville yet.
I
wouldn't mind. I've been there a bunch.
We're only there for a few hours, but it was a really cool vibe, you know.
Yeah.
I definitely would spend more time there.
Did y'all just stay on 40 all the way until you hit like Asheville and then hit Blue Ridge up?
I think so. Yeah. The next day was the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Dude, that rip through Smokies on 40.
Yeah.
So nice.
All of it's great out there, man. I had no idea there were so many trees in this country. Like, just different types of trees, you know? Like, we got a lot of farmland out here. So just to see that density of trees, like, just blew me away.
It's crazy because people like you guys kind of seem to like that. And I like this.
Right.
I like big sky.
Right.
You
Big
know what
open
I mean?
country.
Yeah.
It kind of freaked me out just kind of not knowing where you were going and not being able to see, you know, like here you could see the mountains. I know which direction I'm going.
Yeah.
You know, like it's clearly visible. I know which direction, but out there, man, I got really lost. Just turned around, just the internal compass. But yeah, we did like 100 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Fucking beautiful out there, man.
Did you end up staying somewhere on the Blue Ridge?
So we made it 100 miles into the Blue Ridge Parkway, and Joe started having charging issues. His battery was dying. We diagnosed that it wasn't the voltage regulator. We'd switched that out. And come to the conclusion it was his stator not putting out enough voltage.
Could it have just been a voltage regulator?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. We had those.
Yeah.
But anyway, so from then on out, Joe and I were switching batteries. I was the only one with the flip-up seat. The other guys had the screw-on seat latch, saddleman,
That's
whatever
dope.
else.
So you were just swapping them out.
So mine was flip-up seat, so flip it up. It's just easier for me.
How long were you able to get on like a run?
100 miles.
100 miles?
A gas fill-up. Yeah.
Okay.
So my bike was doing the charging for both bikes. I got to the point where I could remove my battery in 42 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah. We had a race. And so, yeah, for the next basically 1,000 miles to get to the jam was Joe and I switching batteries every
That's
1,000
fucking
miles.
rad, dude.
Every gas stop.
I feel like I've heard this
know?
story, but I don't know if it's the alcohol right now or just being up here and hearing it from your, like, that's so fucking cool.
Another tip, which happened to Chandler, I don't know, did he tell you about his trip back from Sturgis this year?
And maybe I was drinking a lot of whiskey last night.
Okay, so I guess after he split off from Sturgis with us this year, his something happened with his either stator, voltage regulator, something. He wasn't charging, so you just pick up a car battery, deep cycle marine battery, strap that bitch to the back seat, and get some cable extenders and tie that thing in to your original, dying battery, and that'll get you going for 1,000 miles. That one deep cell battery will keep you on the road for 1,000 miles.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So I think that's what he ended up doing, was stopping in a Walmart or whatever he could find, Napa, and get a battery and just keep you on the road till you can get home, 1,000 miles.
Damn. Yeah, he talked about how like he
and then even if it dies after that 1,000 miles, stop at an O'Reilly, wait an hour or two, and they'll charge it up for you. You got another 1,000 out of it. So there's solutions out there.
Yeah.
You just got to be.
You got to have a little bit of a MacGyver in you.
Yeah, you got to be open. You got to find those possibilities.
Yeah, he talked about how like he had said on the podcast that he had listened to Joe's third episode, I think it was, on the podcast.
Yeah.
And that was the one that we did in 21.
Yeah, right before the Camp Out 4.
Exactly, because
right before I met him.
we ended up linking back up, Joe and I and the rest of the homies in Boston.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he was talking about how he heard that and he just fucking showed up.
Yeah.
That's rad. I thought I love that shit.
Solo.
Yeah.
Chandler's a hog.
Yeah.
Hoggish. That's his handle, man. He's about it, by any means necessary, keep going, whatever it takes.
So you end up making it to the jam. Did y'all end up solving the issue? I mean, obviously you solved the issue because Joe was on the bike where he swapped the tins that I had painted, right? On 01 or 21.
He was on. It was a 1994 RT, and it had it was like a maroon and like a darker.
Oh, that was
slate.
this year.
I don't know the color.
We're talking about this year. I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about last year.
Oh yeah.
Or 21.
Right.
Sorry.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, we make it to the jam. And by that time, we'd made it to the hotel, getting off the Blue Ridge. We didn't keep going on the Blue Ridge because we knew we had issues.
Yeah.
So we jumped off the Blue Ridge and started to make towards town and started making phone calls and trying to find a stator. We didn't, have one with us. We didn't bring one. So luckily the next kind of town up, man, I can't even remember where it is. I got the poker chip, the Harley poker chip from it. Somewhere up there in the Virginias, but they had one in stock on the shelf. So we made it over to the dealership. We met up with two other guys, loose lug nut, and is his handle, and then Dwayne. He's out of North Carolina. I can't remember his last name. Shit, he's like Rad Harley Parts. D. Wayne, badass RP.
Nice
windshield. Anyway. So we meet up with them at the dealership. One of them had a flat tire, I think, and this dealership had our stator. So, we met them, picked up the stator, hit a gnarly torrential rain somewhere just before Scranton, Pennsylvania. But, diverted and rerouted ourselves to, miss most of the storm. Got through all that, made it to the jam. And by then we'd called in, asking for tools and, impact, cordless impact and all the sockets and everything. And made it up to the Airbnb. And the next day, made it to the jam. The tools were there. We just did it in the grass, you know,
Nice.
had all the tools, got it done. Yeah, it took like an hour, if
Yeah.
that. Dude, it was cool. Everyone was just hanging out. We're on park benches, having
remember,
drinks. Everyone just talking shit. Lump Buckingham was just elbows deep. They're both laying on there. Joe's butt crack hanging out, you know. It was like the best fucking time ever, man. Like, that's some biker shit.
There's
you know?
you know, I think I've told this story a million times. It's the only one I got. Sorry. You know, we were on our trip and I was like having all my my primary issues.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being at Tucumcari, California, and laid out with like we went into the Loves, and there was like a, you know, like you get a hamburger, it's like in like a styrofoam,
Right.
like foldable, closing.
box.
So we had 2 of those laid out, so that when I opened my primary,
oil.
all the oil would go into it. I
uh-huh.
could put it back in.
Yep.
And
That's what we were doing.
I would open it up, try to fix it, and I would like adjust the chain, and I would get another like couple hundred miles out of it before it just started slapping bad.
Right.
Ultimately, when I got to NorCal, I figured it out. It was just like a spacing issue. But you know what? I've talked, like, you know, case in point, I've told this story so many times on the podcast, and it's, you know, it's 7 years old now, you know, and even though I'm not regretting the fact of riding baggers across country, because you know, with doing podcasts, I need to show up. I need to be there.
Right. You got to be reliable.
There's a lot more reliability I like, but
you got to be professional.
when you're just traveling and you have those issues, like it's the same thing. Like we talk about our first trip going to Cali with all the dudes. Like none of us had problems, but our buddy Matt did.
Right.
And we figured it out. And this dude had the craziest, gnarliest problems, and he made the entire trip. And it was almost like, as stoked as he was to finish it, we're stoked that we never had to leave a dude behind.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
There's something to that.
It's that perseverance, man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at that point when everybody's together, you're a group, you know, you're one organism. You're all looking out for each other, you know. And it's cool, man, when you can fix it on the road.
Yeah.
I fixed a couple bikes on the road this year, just traveling. I kept a lot of shit with me, a lot of little small parts and odds and ends. It was at the West Coast Jam. I fixed, it was, I think, Tommy, Technicolor by Tommy or something like that. Beautiful orange, candy orange RT. And then we were at the back of the pack, and he starts, you know, cutting out, spitting and sputtering. I like to hang at the back because I got tools and the parts and the spares and, you know, everything. So he had issues, and I pulled over with him. It was one of his coil wires was fucking up. So I had wires, stripper, the crimper. I was like, bro, just get rid of all that garbage. Let's fix you up right now. Let's get you tuned up right. You know, you're not having issues. And sure enough, eventually we're back on with everyone else, you know, like that's what I love is fixing things and getting it back on the road. So someone doesn't have to call a tow truck or a trailer or something, you know, like be a biker. Let's fix some shit. Let's do some roadside stuff.
So how was that at that East Coast Jam that you had went to?
It was cool, man. I really enjoyed the riding out there. Man, so many trees.
I haven't done it yet, man. I want to do it so bad.
There's a cool swim spot. We had an Airbnb with a couple other wild hogs that were newly inducted this year. You had Jimmy Skids and Delco Dirk and their old ladies. Got a hotel or an Airbnb, little cabin. Man, it was a bitchin' ass time. The 5 of us, and then I think like the 4 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
The event, the grounds were super cool. Just seemed like biker heaven right there. Yeah, they had like live bands. The drinks were huge and stiff. Like it was a good time, man. But I hear about Maggie Valley though, from what Joe says, and you know, I never really got to check that out. I think that seems like a cool vibe too.
Honestly, man, as someone that stumbled into it, it was amazing.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean,
it's more like a hotel, right? Like
it's like the old school horseshoe style hotel, motel kind of thing. And I've always wanted. I've been me and Barella.
Yeah.
Joey. I'm gonna stop. Joey.
Yeah.
Motherfucking Joey. I don't know why I like saying his last name incorrectly so bad, but no, Joey. We were talking about it, and I was telling him, you know, because Joey lives in a good spot to do some cool shit. You know what I mean? But in this like Southwest or like this Colorado, New Mexico, Utah area, there's lots of these older style motels where I think it'd be dope to do like a run where every night you're in a different one, a different part of the, and each one of these, like, they're all booked, so you have your rooms. You don't have to fucking, you know, gamble on whether or not it's going to be good or not. Yeah. And just do like a run through these different old school, old style motels.
We stayed at one on our way back from the East Coast. It was in Georgia. I think we're just about to get into Florida. I can't even remember the name of the town. Man, we were all so tired. And we just came around the next corner, coming in the next small town, and here was this roadside kind of drive-in, old school motel like that. I think we were like one of 3 people that were staying there. Yeah. But it was super cool. You got a real key that goes in. It was one of the cheapest rooms.
Jiggle it like Ace
Honestly, like, it was one of the like cleanest, well set up. Like, it was actually pretty nice, and it was the cheapest stay that we had that whole trip, you know? So, like, it wasn't bad, you know? But
and your bike's right up front. Open the door, it's right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there wasn't shit going on in that town. And the time we got there, the only thing open was a gas station. So all we had was chips and soda for dinner, you know, and like ices. But, you know, like, we were so tired, we weren't doing shit anyway, you know.
Smashing. Yeah. So that trip home, how was that? How was the ride home from the jam?
The ride home from the jam.
Was it smash, or did y'all like make it a scenic route?
Man, we went even more scenic than the way out there.
How long was just the East Coast Jam trip?
We did 17 days.
That's right.
On the road.
So we caught y'all right after that.
Yeah. So when I came home, like the day before, I met you in Boise.
That's right.
With Victor. Yeah. So I had been on the road for 17 days, and then I got on and went to you in Boise. Did another 300 miles the next day. Some shit like that.
28 different states.
Yeah, we did 28 states.
Yeah, because we were all like patting ourselves on the back, and then you show up all fucking spry and shit.
Man, I was just happy to see you guys, you know? Like, it's cool to see other people in different states and different places, man.
It is. I mean, that's how, I mean, you know, me and Joe need to, like we need to have our own little fucking, like, United States map. Yeah. Not where we rode to together, but where we fucking fuck with each other in these different places.
Yeah. No, that's the best part about all of it, you know, seeing the same people in different places, you know, like, oh, hey, you're here. Yeah, hell, you're here.
So what was the route? What did you end up doing?
Coming home, man. Well, we actually kind of we were originally planning going to the jam, the route we went home. But with my mechanical issue, we kind of detoured and took a different route getting up there. So the route home was the original route that we were going to go there. So we came down the East Coast, leaving the FXR Jam that day. Joe only had one more state to get his 48th state, which was Maine. And so we wanted to ride to Maine and get some lobster. So leaving the jam, we had a really cool pack of dudes. I was riding out Suicide Chris, bunch of, man, there was packed probably like 20 bikes or so. Damn. Riding out, and then everyone was kind of just splitting off and going to their house, you know, going their spot, and the pack got smaller and smaller, and then it was just the 5 of us, and then WFO for life. He was so inspired about Joe reaching his 48th state. He's like, I'll just ride with you. He's in New Hampshire, so he's like, I'll just go to Maine with you and have lobster. And so he rode out with us just to see Joe finish his 48th state.
I've been kind of like seeing this WFO because I'm also seeing Sit Down Steve and those guys doing it. Right, is that the same person?
Yeah, I think he's got Steve riding for him or something.
Oh, okay.
And he had Chopsky shooting some photos down at Daytona.
I just was seeing it a lot, and I didn't know, because I know there was parts of that for the FXR community. Right. Then you see that world. I just didn't know where it was translated.
He's got a couple FXRs, a couple badass FXRs. Kind of stunt guy. Up in New Hampshire area. He's got a line of apparel. Good dude. He bought us lobster out in Maine, you know. He paid for the whole round.
You get some
fucking badass guy.
You get some lobster rolls, you get some real lobster.
I did the lobster roll.
Okay. You did it all?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They've got the steamers.
Someone else is paying for it. You go all out, bro.
I mean, we didn't know he was
free food or free money.
We didn't know he was paying till the end, you know. He's just a great guy like that.
The way you did it tonight's the way you do it. Like, you don't you don't wait till the check comes and ask. You just fucking slide them a card.
Oh, she knew how it worked too. She grabbed that thing right out of my hand. She knows.
Yeah.
That's the type of place where that stuff happens.
Yeah. And it sucks because I was like thinking about doing it myself.
No, dude.
Now you need the gas. Man.
I'm so honored, to have you here and be able to support you on the road and
dude,
to keep
man,
this podcast going, man. Because I really rely on this thing.
It was dope when I posted on Patreon and like you're gonna have me on the podcast,
dude. I was fucking stoked, man. I couldn't even believe it.
That's how you found out.
It's a wet dream, you know.
No, but it was, because when we talked, when we met in Boise last year, and you had just finished Triple Crown, I think that people don't understand how important that is and how cool that is, in my opinion. And
it's a lot of work, man.
And I don't remember who I talked to. It might have been Joe or it might have been someone else, but I was like, yeah, I want to have him on the pod about this. And they were like, oh, he'll ride down to you.
I would.
Exactly.
Dude, honestly.
But I didn't want you to have to do that because I knew I had a feeling that like this, everywhere I go, I feel like it gets ran back quickly. Like if I do a New York trip, for some reason I'm right back there.
Yeah.
If I do this trip, I'm right back there. So I felt like
it's only been what, like 6 months, 9 months since you've been here.
Yeah, and the guy that we hung out with in Washington, Denver Jones, he hung out with us and rode with us. He ended up buying my paint set off my bike. So, it's like it just kind of became a quick like, okay, well, let me turn this into a podcast trip and make it happen. So,
well, cool.
So you get home, you got one trip figured out. Obviously, there's not that much of a great story. Maybe West Coast Jam. Because you were supposed to meet up because I met you before the West Coast Jam was going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So I just completed that West Coast
or the East Coast.
The East Coast trip. Man, coming home. Let me touch on that a little bit. We did everything on the way home too. After we did Maine, Lobster in Maine, we rode down through New York, hit the George Washington Bridge, got to see the lights of New York City, didn't go into the city. That would have really taken us off course and taken forever. But, I at least got to see the lights. I know it's there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably a place I want to fly in and just be a tourist and do that sort of thing.
I think you need to ride your bike there.
You think so?
It's so amazing.
I mean, I would love to, but
I don't know.
I want to experience all of it too.
My
and
my
not worry
experience
about
is
my
kind
bike.
of is unique because it was COVID. It was kind of empty.
Right. Yeah.
But no, dude, like Indian Larry, all those dudes up there.
I'd love to see that shit too,
dude. Yeah, it's electrifying up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyway, we saw New York City, passed by it, stopped into New Jersey, spent the night, woke up the next morning, and we had to jam down New Jersey to make it to the Cape May ferry, to make it into Delaware. So we took the ferry. Like I don't even know how far. But yeah, loaded my bike on a boat. That's something that don't happen around here, That's fucking wild. I'd never really seen the Atlantic Ocean before Lobster that day before. And then the next day my bike is like getting floated across it. We did the fucking Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
I haven't done that yet.
Dude,
I want to do it so fucking bad. It was
cool. Dawn loves going over bridges.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind, like how long it was and how far, like you're underwater that ships pass over. Like just blew my mind. You know? We don't see stuff like that out here.
We had planned on doing that the year that we did the year that we met Joe in Boston, but we ended up, we ended up just staying on the mainland up to Washington and Baltimore instead of coming back around.
Okay.
But we took a ferry. So I've done 2 ferries. I did one from Milwaukee
Michigan, right?
to Michigan.
Yeah.
That was pretty rad. And then we did one as a group on that same trip I just referenced from Montauk, I think, Long Island, over to Connecticut.
Interesting.
And that was rad.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Yeah, we had drinks, like just looked out. We did the arms out like Titanic,
Who held you?
The whole thing, man. Yeah, dude, we did it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did all that. We went down south. We hit Myrtle Beach. Did Suck Bang Blow. Stopped in it there. Did a little tag somewhere. Met up with Andrew Minervini down in Pawleys Island. Went to Pawleys Island Tavern. From there, we dipped into Florida
So his last day was
Tallahassee.
48, right? His last 48 was Maine.
Yeah, Joe's
So-
last lower 48 was Maine.
How many do you have left?
I think I'm at 8. I got 8 left.
What's the last 8?
We're working up north, so like North Dakota, Michigan, Minnesota, I think Illinois, kind of up there around the lakes area.
Yeah.
And we did not get to Vermont. We were feet away from Vermont.
Dude.
I look back on the Google Maps. Literally, we were feet
That's
from
such
Vermont.
a small thing to capture in such the middle of fucking.
It's the furthest fucking thing away from here.
You
as
fucked yourself,
possible.
bro.
I did. But, I'll be back there. I'll knock it off.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, we dipped down into Florida and then started making our way across. Stopped in at Tallahassee. Let's see, we stayed somewhere at the edge of Florida. Went into New Orleans, got to ride down Bourbon Street, got to see that whole situation, It was wild. That place is crazy. It was like a Wednesday night, but, that's way more wild than we get out here. Did that, and then the next day we booked it to San Antonio. Got to ride past the Alamo, did the river
I remember
walk.
seeing that part, while we were on our trip.
Yeah, got to see the Alamo. Never been that south before. And then from there, that's kind of when we split up from the group. Sean and Omar and Joe were going south, they were going west.
Staying on 10, yeah.
Yeah, they were going west from there, and we were going to start booking it up north. Since we were so close to the Simpson factory, I stopped in there and picked me up a new helmet. Mine was just falling apart, so we were in the neighborhood, so I swung in there.
Nice.
Oddly enough, Robert Cheeks was in there.
I
was in there getting fitted for my helmet.
He's a Texas treasure, baby.
Man, so I'm getting fitted for my helmet, and this dude walks in the door. I'm like, you look familiar. Do I know you? And he kind of gives me that same kind of face. I was like, Cheeks, right?
It's like the Spider-Mans that are pointing at each other in the meme.
It was cool, man. So he was stoked to see us, it was really rad. Just run across someone. I mean, it's kind of a common place, I guess, in our scene or whatever, but still kind of random, Scott wasn't there at the time. I think he was in Florida helping his mom move or something.
Yeah, it was doing that.
Yeah, but I picked me up a new lid, carbon. Oh my God, so much lighter. On the road after being on the bike for like that many hours, that carbon helps a lot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Would you get a Ghost or a mod?
I got the Ghost. Yeah, I didn't want the mod.
I'm still a Ghost man, 100%. That's my favorite one, but I've been leaning more into the mods.
Really?
Last year, and this year I think I'm gonna ride a mod again. But yeah, they're great. I love them.
I saw Don and I witnessed someone go down this year with the modular helmet. It was a Harley Davidson one. It was kind of like those half ones with like the underclick.
Oh, that kind of weird where they can kind of put it all the way to the back.
They're like super modular thing.
Yeah.
But we saw someone, hit the asphalt and that thing exploded.
Yeah.
Just blew apart and just scared the shit out of me. Just having moving pieces and that, I want one solid unit, you know. I'm not the type of person to be drinking, a soda on the road or something, or, I don't smoke. I don't need to have my lid up basically. So I went with that.
Yeah, I think it's the best helmet, to be honest with you.
I like it. I love it.
God, it was really on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there we went from Simpson. We started booking it up through Hill Country, made it to Lubbock, up through Amarillo, Moab, Salt Lake, and then home.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I met you guys the next day, and then got to escort the Fast Life crew to Twin Falls.
Nice.
So that was a pretty fun time.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Me and Jaden talked about that quite a bit. I think definitely on when we recapped that trip, the one we did on the podcast,
Right.
on the Patreon, where we just did a recap of our experience on the back half. And we talked about how there was kind of bittersweet of we had all this shit that was about to happen, but we're still seeing our friends continue this thing that we separated from.
It sucks leaving your homies, and you're on a whole nother journey. You know?
And then you got everybody driving up the fucking ramp for the Snake River jump, and
exactly,
and just enjoying all that shit. And
to be honest, I had never been out there until I took them out there.
For real.
I knew it was in town, you know. I could like always see it in the distance. Like I knew it was there. I never went and visited it until those guys gave me a reason to like actually go out there and go check it out, you know.
That's
like,
right.
It was really cool to share with them.
So yeah, we had a. It was kind of bittersweet. I mean, don't get me wrong. We were hanging out with fucking John Teller. from
Right. Yeah,
goddamn
that's
Sons of Anarchy.
that's when I met Vic.
That was the first time you met
That
Vic?
was the first time I met Vic, you know.
Because y'all were already talking about riding together for the West Coast Jam.
Right. So we had been, you know, messaging here and there. You know, he'd been liking my stories and my stuff. And, you know, we traded a few messages. And, yeah, I was trying to make plans to ride to the West Coast Jam. So I knew he was a guy with an FXR in Idaho. So he told me he rode to the FXR Jam alone last year. And I was like, nah, not again, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm riding with you, you know. You're not going to go alone. So, yeah, we met up with him. And basically between all of these events, I was painting my bike. When I showed up to the Fast Life 5, it was in primer. I had just done all the engine work. I added the fairing and the bags, and I had a tour pack at that time. And
So did you do that leaf on the bike?
I did, yeah. Don't look too close.
Dude, it's not. I mean,
That was my first time at
if
Leaf.
you stripe it, all
Right,
those little
right.
problems will be going away. But actually, the fucking leaf is good, dude.
Thank you.
It's really good.
That's really cool to hear from you. But I honestly, I want to sand it down and redo it. Now that I've done it once, I know I can do it better. And I think if I wasn't so rushed, I was really rushing in between events to try to paint this thing. So I showed up to your camp out, and it was in primer. And that was kind of like the test run to make sure it all works, everything fits, you know, everything works. So I got it home from the camp out, and that's when I started doing the paint. I got the black down and I got the wood grain down. I didn't have the gold leaf at that time, but it was a real push to try to get that thing painted in order to meet up with Victor. I just calculated it yesterday. Before I met up with Victor, he likes to leave early because it gets hot at that time. Yeah. He leaves at 5 in the morning out of Boise. It's 2 hours away, Boise. So I would have to leave at 3 in the morning to get to him by his departure time. I was trying to get it painted and assembled and to Boise in a hotel room and then meet up with him at 5. But it took everything of 2 days beforehand to get it painted and cleared and sanded and re-cleared and everything else to bury the wood and, you know, to get it assembled and back together. I was up for 48 hours before I met him, like 40 to 50 hours before I met him. And then from there, he rides fast as fuck, 100 miles an hour through Oregon, that little section through Idaho, Oregon, Nevada. There's no one out there, wide open. 100 miles an hour, yeah.
We
with the
hit
Mormon
the Mormon
crickets.
crickets.
Dude, we were there. They were gnarly. Like,
Y'all got them too?
Yeah, we were there, you know, like 3-4 weeks after you. And yeah, they were still out there, like the remnants. And
when he told me
they
that
were
shit,
gnarly.
I thought it was, I was like, whatever, old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I was like, then it's like when I started getting
You got
closer.
to that gas station.
Well, the gas station they were fucking, it
Infested.
was a swarm. It was infested, yeah. But before that, you start seeing shit on the road. And you don't know if it's a mirage or whatever.
You think
know
the road's moving.
Yeah. You never
tripping.
know what it is. And then it's like, oh, there's actually fucking things on the road.
And
right
they're
now.
huge.
Yeah.
They're not small little crickets.
They don't jump.
Dude, they're massive. So yeah, 100 miles an hour with him for 8 hours till we get to the West Coast Jam. He likes to get there early so he can get in the room and get settled, you know. So he shows up on Wednesday. So yeah, we drop him off, and Don and I keep going over. We cross the pass and go over to Lodi and meet up with Joe and everyone else in the NorCal crew.
Yeah.
Spend the night with Joe that Wednesday night, and then ride out with everybody on Thursday.
Nice.
We took Sonora Pass. You ever done that one?
That's the one we did going across this year.
Dude, beautiful.
Last year.
That's excellent, huh?
It was a good one. And then it drops you out like right at Stockton, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a badass road we took up there.
Because we tried to do the 120, which is the more famous pass,
Yeah.
through Yosemite,
Right.
But you got to get like a permit or some time slot to go across that.
All of that.
Yeah.
You know, you're
I've
you're a
gone
taxpaying
across-
citizen. You should
Yeah.
be able to use those roads.
First off, I'm not tax-paying citizen.
Oh, well.
I'll figure that out.
I take that back.
I'm trying to pay you, but no, there's a lot of different passes that go across it,
Right.
and so you
I've
can't.
taken a couple of them.
Honestly, even if you stay on 80, it's not that bad.
No,
it's pretty dope.
I love ripping 80. There was one time, it was on our way to the camp out this last year, Camp Out 5. We rode with Joe.
So you went from
We went
here.
from Idaho. Well, yeah, the Camp Out 4, Joe had beat us mileage-wise here from Idaho by like 50 miles because he rode from the coast. So he beat us by 50 miles. And so I didn't want that to happen this year. So I rode to him. And then we rode together, so I knew
Yeah.
I'd at least have that many more. So that's how I got the
Yeah,
highest
fucking
mileage.
500 more miles on top of it.
So that's how we got the highest mileage
Nice.
this year at the camp out.
We haven't so Craig leans into the whole Gump Award thing,
Yeah.
and we just haven't done it yet. I mean,
Brucey's coming out this year, right? He's coming from Washington.
Bruce said he's coming down, man.
He could be achieving it. And then there's the other dude, Mox Glide, the one that got married last year.
So did he move to?
I think he just moved up to Seattle, so he's maybe even further than Brucey. So
Bruce, you better get it
I
together.
mean, you better be taking the long ways, boys.
I haven't asked Bruce if he's okay with us calling Brucey because I like Brucey.
Oh, okay, well,
Like from
that's what I'm
fucking.
saying. I don't know. I think I've seen his bike at the Bagger Racing League.
Yeah, he came through.
Yeah, I haven't met him though. I seen the bike, but I never met him.
Honestly, man, like straight up, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night hanging out with him.
Cool.
He's kind of he's just a wise man, and hanging out with him and like perspectives, and
Yeah.
he doesn't drink, so like I'm taking this time to spend the next couple of days with him, not drinking,
Right.
just being sober, just fucking hanging out and stuff.
I got a lot of that from the club too, man.
Yeah.
Being around, some older cats that had some more experience. There were some of them that were sober. Don was one of the sober members.
You fucked him up because you drank whiskey earlier.
I mean, yeah, he drinks now. I might have corrupted him a little bit, but if he gets out of hand, I'll put him in his place and make sure he doesn't get to a dark place. But I think it was other things that were probably Don's problem. We don't got to worry about the whiskey.
When they come to the camp out and they get to hang out with Don, they'll know what the fuck we're talking about.
Everybody loves Don. No matter who's around, I don't know. He's infectious.
Yeah, I've never seen Don without a smile on his face.
Yeah, man.
Especially at the camp out.
He's
for
just
sure.
happy to be out of town and just being out of the house and doing something.
Counting miles.
Yeah,
I'll do it while I can because
Yeah.
I am broken.
How old are you?
57.
Okay. Dude, honestly, man, my goal, do you have a goal? Do you have an age where you hope you can still do that? What do you think if you can put all your chips on one basket, what is like the oldest you think you can be?
Man.
Fair enough to like life, but also like pushing the envelope,
Right. Dude, man, I don't know. On my mom's side, we lived a long time. My grandma, she lives downstairs at my mom's house. She just turned 89. Her dad lived to be 99.
Damn.
So like, I don't know, potentially. I mean, but yeah, productive. I think as long as I could ride my motorcycle, I think I'll be happy. I think it'd be cool to do it, man. I think it'd be cool 80.
80 would be a stretch.
Fuck, dude. It would be.
So,
What if you quit at 70 and then just tried it one more time at 80?
well, that's kind of like what we've talked about. Even Jaden and I, when we stayed at,
What if you show up at Sturgis? What year will Sturgis be when you're 80?
so this is going to be
You have 40 more years?
40 more years. So this year is what is it? 80th was 2 years ago, right? 81 was last year or the year before?
Last year.
I think last year was 82.
So you'll see the 100.
82 was
So
last year.
Okay, so if you're 60,
I'll for sure see the 100.
The 100th anniversary, you're going to be 60, right?
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to be there
Don't
for that.
fucking say that, dude. Come on.
100th Sturgis. I'm going to be there for that one.
The first time was in the 80s.
I'm going to be there.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, I've talked about this before on the podcast, but when my brother and I went on our trip. We stayed at Days Inn. It was the first time we ever stayed there.
Right.
That's where we found this
That's how you
campground.
learned about it, right?
We stayed with this group of friends where
It was their last ride, right?
it was last ride together.
Yeah, you
and
said
the guy that was 74 that drank us under the table
Right.
rode an FXR there. And I had an
cool as
FXR,
fuck, dude.
so that's why we connected.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. I hope to have that experience. Like, that's
Yeah.
what I want. I want one last trip with the boys
Yeah.
at whatever age that is, you know?
It's kind of like
I recently watched Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
ooh, baby.
Dude, I'd never
Thank
seen
you,
it.
sir.
Never seen it up until about 3 weeks ago. And I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now. Like, I
What's
love
your favorite
it.
part?
Man, I think probably the ending. Where he
When
takes
the
off
chick-
with the chick.
yeah.
You know, where you
I
going?
like the beginning when he
nowhere,
leaves
you
the
know?
chick.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's cool too. That's all cool.
When
The
he's
whole-
in Fort Worth and there's mountains in the background, like, you're not in Fort Worth, bro.
the whole thing where he spits in Billy Baldwin's face. Like, I ain't telling you, I'm going to die the slow way or something
Yeah.
like that, you know? Like, yeah, that movie's badass. Like, that's just what I want, you know? I want some.
I remember,
want
so
that kind
have
of
you seen
vibes.
like, what was the other one? Stone Cold?
No, I haven't seen that one.
So I think it's called Stone Cold, right? With Brian Bosworth, the football player that became the biker. So I remember I was in spoiler alert, we haven't got to this part of our podcast origin story yet.
Okay.
But I went down to Houston to hang out with Zombie Mike, and he had this like cool ass warehouse. They started doing these like Houston Diner Crew started hosting these big ass parties at it. And we did this podcast with actually the Houston Diner Crew. And then when it was over, we had a movie night in his shop.
Cool.
And it was Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth. That was the first time I ever saw it. And actually, crazy story, or as a context, that's when Chadwick Boseman, the guy that played like Black Panther,
Okay.
he died that day.
Oh, wow.
And so it started popping it up. And so, me and my son do all the
Right,
Marvel
yeah,
shit.
you
So
guys are into that.
I texted him, I was like, hey, did you see this? And he's like,
Right.
yeah, it's so crazy. And, but just as a context, that's what was going on. But I remember because of his death, that podcast, this place, and this whole situation, I remember the whole setting.
Right.
We're just, the first time I ever saw the movie, because I didn't see it growing
Yeah.
up.
I think it was cool kind of seeing it as an adult, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe if I'd seen it as a kid or, you know, someone had shown it to me, it might fucking gone over my head or something, you know?
Well,
or
I
maybe it would have
think
got me into motorcycles
Those
sooner.
movies are definitely, people, depending on how old you are, like, you got to
There's a
look
cheese
at
factor.
You got to look at 80s and early 90s movies as in there's fluff to it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of shit that's like a little bit like out of the box, but there's 30% realism and there's 70% like okay out of the whatever.
But there's no CGI,
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
And it's at least an original story.
I agree to that.
So,
But yeah, I love that movie, man. That Brian Bosworth, the other one with Charlie Sheen whenever he was
Beyond the Law.
Beyond the
I
Law.
like that
was
one
a pretty
too.
good one too.
There's another one. It's with. Shit. Now that you got me drinking, I'm gonna forget names, man. Who's the dude that played the Green Goblin?
Oh, the fucking yeah, I know you're talking about. Fuck, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I know. Now that we're drinking, can't think of it. It's called.
Fuck. I don't want to look at my phone because I want to earn it.
I know. Me too. We'll get it. We'll get back to it. But there's even a movie beyond his name. It's a really cool movie.
It's a biker movie?
It's a biker movie. It's a real early biker movie. It's about these. It's kind of biker, not necessarily the club. It's like 3 or 4 guys. They're on a racing kind of team. I think they're trying to get down to Daytona to race.
Oh.
And they stroll into a town, like a small town, right? And I mean, I don't want to give the spoiler alert, you know, but it seems like they ruined the town, you know, almost. They're just trying to fix their motorcycle, but maybe the town was already messed up before they got there, type of situation.
Yeah.
You know.
Fucking Sean Kemp, dude. That shit really ruins my childhood.
That's why I don't fuck with sports. Like it's too much energy, man. It just takes too much freaking space in my brain to try to calculate or do any of that.
I agree, you know.
Well, I was always the small kid in school, so you know, playing any of those sports like really wasn't advantageous for me. You know, I was gonna get hurt, so
Yeah.
I did wrestling. You know, where you're
The worst?
You're kind of more evenly matched, though. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah, that
they
makes
putting
sense.
you up against someone
Yeah.
crazy. You
Playing
know?
football, you're like a tight end. And you got fucking
yeah, exactly. So I never really got down with the ball sports.
ball sports. Man, so all right, so we West Coast Jam. You go over there, you link up with Joe Kidd, you
Yeah.
roll with the fucking NorCal crowd
Man.
back across.
Yeah, we stayed at the Topaz Lodge there, right, basically on the border, California, Nevada. It's a cool spot, man.
I haven't been yet. I've been through Tahoe so many times,
And
but
you went to Virginia City,
I
right,
did
on
do
your way
that.
through. So yeah, we did a day up in Virginia City. You know, we had a big group ride out from Carson City up
Yeah.
to Virginia City. It was a good time up there. We had one of our boys, Jr. In the Wild Hogs.
Proposed, right?
Yeah, he proposed to his old lady up there.
Nice.
He kind of had us in on it. You know, he'd let us know like a couple days before that he was going to do it. And I just thought it was crazy. You know, like, are you for real? Like, that's how you're going to do it? But you know, it was beautiful, man. We pulled over on an overlook right there outside of Virginia City going into Reno, and like the sun was coming down and stuff. And, you know, we posed for a picture thinking it was going to be, you know, just the boys taking pictures of their bikes and
That's
stuff.
perfect.
And then we posed JR's bike, had your paint job on it right there, kind of crossed up in front of all the bikes parked sideways. And then he's like, hey, I want a picture over here. And yeah, I dropped down on one knee and popped the question. And then he told her that he's going to get married the next day. They booked a chapel in Lake Tahoe.
Did it?
Yeah, the very
Nice.
next
I
day
didn't know
they tied the knot.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, so he had that, all waiting, and yeah, he popped the question, and it's like, yo, I got the thing booked. Let's just get it done. So
I met him. So I did a helmet deal.
he's got a couple year helmets.
He has
and-
2 helmets, but the first one, the way we met was, I did it. Everybody's always told me like, you should do this to try to make your helmets more of this.
And he's a helmet collector.
He
He's a
is.
helmet freak.
Yeah, he
So-
is 100%. So we just did one. I did this like series of 5 helmets. It's 5
Flame
the
job.
same. I did a flame job recently, but the first helmet was a design that I did 5 helmets, and some of them are different colors, but they're all the same design. And he got the first one. I think he actually bought the one that I originally just did to show people that we're going to sell,
Right.
and then he bought that one, and then
Cool.
Then he did the flame helmet afterwards.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and then now he's got your the tin set that was on the machinist bike.
yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm just glad
he's got
that-
a lot of your work.
yeah. I'm just glad it's still around. You know what I mean? That's the coolest part is when you
Yeah.
see your stuff like never gets painted over. That's what you don't want it to happen.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, he's taken excellent care. He's put it on a bike that he's rebuilt the engine. He rode it out to the West Coast Jam this year, and he proposed on it. And then the next day, it was kind of all of us wild hogs, you know, just rode all the bachelors, you know, rode JR to the chapel, and yeah, it was super cool, man. It was very touching.
That's rad.
It was a beautiful scene, man. I did.
so
really
y'all
did-
all went to the whole fucking like wedding ceremony. It was like
Yeah.
an FXR wedding.
No, it was basically just intimate, man. It was.
Did she have anybody there?
She called one friend right after he proposed. She called one friend that lived in Tahoe, and her friend kind of came down and supported her. Joe Kidd walked her down the aisle.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, no, it was cool, man. It was cool. I cried.
Daddy Joe, Uncle Joe,
Dude,
fucking coming down the aisle.
It was beautiful. I cried a little bit. World class dirtbag had flown out for the event, and he was there. He's part of the Wild Hogs, and so it was me, him, Don.
Who's all
Joe.
Who's all the wild hog?
Man, so we got like 20 dudes at this point, spread out all across the country. But
I'm gonna let Joe tell the world what wild hogs are, but
man,
you know,
yeah,
at the same time,
he's going to be the best introduction on how that happened, because he's kind of the catalyst of it all. You know, he's like the head hog. But, you know, I've ridden with everybody that's in the group. I have ridden with. I know everybody personally. Maybe not all of the other wild hogs have met all the other wild hogs or ridden with them, but you know, I think a lot of them know each other, and they all got badass bikes, and they all you know, aren't afraid to ride them.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, the original 6 was that first crew that went to the Fast Life camp out. We started a group chat, and you know, we got tight from there.
Nice.
And so that was really the original crew. Later that summer, when we went to Sturgis, we picked up world-class dirtbag Rob. He's out of Boston. So So he's in the crew. But anyway, so it was all just the intimate setting, just a nice little wedding, sign the paper and, you know, say the vows. And yeah, it was really cool. Really cool ride to Tahoe and all that. So, yeah, West Coast Jam. Then we rode home. What was after that? Sturgis. Yeah, the Sturgis ride.
The finale.
Yeah, that was the finale, really. Every year since 21, I host, open up the shop and, you know, let mostly the California guys come up, ride in, and then crash here. Park all the bikes inside and air mattresses and crash in the fifth wheel and, you know, 6 to 10 people, you know, crashing here in Sturgis, and then we roll out.
This is a good like stopping point.
It is.
Yeah. What is it from like NorCal to here? Like 600?
Yeah, like 600.
600?
5 or 600. So, you know, a good little rip.
My man got tuberculosis over there.
I don't fucking.
All right, Doc Holliday. Get some.
But yeah, so from here, there's like a couple different ways you can get to Sturgis. So every year we're kind of trying to do it a little bit different, you know. The first year we went through Yellowstone, was super fun, and then we spent the night in Cody, which is super badass.
I haven't been yet, man.
Man, Cody's super cool.
Jaden did it on like when he got
lost, right? Yeah. He did a little walkabout or something. Yeah. No, Cody's super cool, man. We went behind Buffalo Bill's bar that was like gifted to him from the Queen of England or something like that. Just some wild stuff, just the history, and it was beautiful out there. So that was the first year we went. This year we went through Jackson Hole, stopped in Jackson Hole, had drinks, and then we kept going, and we crashed in DuBois, Wyoming. Super small town. The only room available was like a little cabin. We had 10 dudes with us, and a little 1-bedroom cabin, you know, a little living room, little kitchen, 1 bedroom. And we had 10 dudes piled in there. Royal was sleeping on like the little loft area above the kitchen, like where you'd put plants and shit, you know, but there weren't any plants. We fucking hoisted him up there and put his sleeping bag up there. He slept there. Dudes all on the ground, pull out couches. It was like sleepover, you know, when you're 10 years old, you know.
It's like the whole house is a fort.
Yeah, like someone's birthday, you know. Yeah. And we all hit the town, like, 10 bikers. And we walk into this cowboy bar. You know, everyone's in hat and, you know, cowboy boots, and we're bikers. So, like, it was really cool. Like, just the whole vibe of everything. Yeah, it's a super cool little town. We just had to crash in. We couldn't make it any further. It got too dark, got too cold. But we had a great time, man. It was just unexpected.
Yeah, the planning, sometimes planning can ruin, having expectations sometimes ruins the randomness of life. You know what I'm saying?
You got to be open to, you know, whatever happens. But yeah, we had a great time there in DuBois. The next day, the end destination was Sturgis. We stopped in Thermopolis. You ever been through there?
It sounds familiar.
Okay.
I've been through a handful of small towns through Wyoming.
Yeah. So Thermopolis is like, hot spring area, thermal zone. You know,
it is?
Thermopolis. So they have like this city park, and then there's a bunch of hot pools.
What's it closer to? What's the bigger place it's closest to? Like Gillette or Casper or something?
It's like, it's going to be just east of Teton.
So
it's going to be central, west central kind of situation.
About,
Not quite central, but like west central. Anyway, super badass spot. They have natural hot springs. You could just go in for free, like 20 minutes. It's like, you know, city pool or whatever. And so, soak in there. It was super, comforting after a long day in the rain and fog and gnarly weather.
Yeah, it's Central Wyoming is fuck, dude.
Yeah, Wyoming.
Like really, Cody, you have to go out of your way from Cody to go there.
Yeah, Wyoming will really throw anything at you at any time.
We rode through when we did like Red Lodge. We left Sturgis in 2020. We did the Big Horn National Forest.
Okay,
pretty fucking rad.
Was it?
It was nice. It was a short pass. It's just one mountain range you're just kind of jumping over.
Right.
But it was nice. It was pretty dope.
See, I want to do more of, northern Idaho, central Idaho, Montana, Glacier, up in that area. I've
So-
never really been up in there.
I think that like after me and the boys this year, we wrap up our 48 together.
You said you're going to hyper focus 3 areas.
I think so. And one of the ones I'm going to rally for next year for us is a hyper focus of like Utah, Idaho, and like this like corridor, not Oregon, not Washington,
Right.
just Utah, Idaho, and like the,
Sawtooth.
is that what
I think
it's called?
is what it's called. Yeah, Sawtooths. Is that
Because
mountain
I don't want to
range.
get past like when you get in Montana or Wyoming, you get out there.
Right.
Like I wouldn't mind going to Cody on this trip.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go east of Cody.
Right.
I'd rather stay in this thing.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal, is to explore more of this area, just to become a better advocate and just to figure out what's out there. Find those hot springs, find those hole in the wall bars, the super cool spots. So I can be an advocate for this area. Done a lot of nationwide traveling, but haven't really explored too much north of me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think I mean, definitely when you're hanging out with Joe, like you're learning how to be a host, and you're learning how to be an ambassador for something. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Because when all these people you've met, when they come here, when you've hung out with somebody who is a rad motherfucker, like for example, like going to New York, hanging out with Clems, and seeing all the cats from like Long Island. They showed me what it was like to be on Long Island, and I love that.
Yeah.
I was a student of their life, and so when you naturally want to be that person, like I have things in Texas or in Dallas. Whenever I'm privy to be able to show you something, I'm going to show you the cool shit.
Right.
It's some of it's time based, some of it's like the right time of the night. Some of it is like trying to get the people out to come out and show you like support and shit. But
well, man, I'll just say the love I got from Texas has been unbelievable. That Southern hospitality, everyone that I met from your group or anyone, that hangs out with the Fast Life. We rolled in this year on that bike night up to Reno's, man. And it was just cool as hell just hearing everyone cheer when we rolled down the street and they seen, us like, oh shit, like it was rad, man. Really some Texas hospitality, Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
And you guys were so welcoming. The first year I went, was right into your guys' Airbnb private house. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I just couldn't believe it, So I want to be, kind of the same way, here.
Yeah.
And so I think it all pays itself back.
Yeah.
I hosted your guys here, gave them a spot to crash. It was all that I could offer.
It was more than
as much as I could do.
It's more than anybody could ask, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you traveled,
Yeah.
and a couch, a meal, and a shitter.
It means a lot. That's all you need. We're bikers. What else do you need? And then
Ready to get out of the rain.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so when I went down there for Born Free Texas this year, the love I saw from those dudes after hosting them here, man, it all pays itself
It all
back.
pays it back, yeah.
And so when you guys are coming hyper focus again, we're going even harder next time.
Yeah,
So,
you're part of it now.
yeah, exactly. So yeah,
We're doing it.
that's the beautiful thing about all this, but you got to show up. You got to get outside your comfort zone and show up.
Yeah, you got to show up, and it's not a. You don't do it as expecting something out of it. You do it like it's a true concept of giving. Like when you give, it feels good, and you want to do that more, right?
Yeah.
Kind of tonight, like you paid for dinner, and I once again I really appreciate that. But when you get to that point where you can start doing that, it feels so fucking good.
Yeah.
Not because you want an ego stroke, but I'm just glad I can appreciate this and show this person this kind of love that,
For sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've changed my life, man.
Yeah.
This podcast and your words and your fucking encouragement has changed my life. I'm on a whole
it's changed my
nother
life
path,
too,
dude.
man.
Whole nother path.
I'm a
It's crazy.
regurgitation of all the amazing people I've met through this podcast
Yeah.
and my travels on the bike.
Dude, and I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
Like seriously, it's so cool. I'm just a guy,
Yeah.
Like that's it. I
But
built a bike.
We're all
and
just
I
a
rode
guy,
it,
man.
you
We're all
know?
just a guy.
Yeah.
Think about it. We really are all just a guy.
Yeah. And it don't take much. You don't have to have all the high dollar parts, Like I don't have anything super high dollar on that bike. I bought it like most of the performance upgrades came on it. It was just like a bonus.
Think about it like this, man.
I put my skills into it. I did.
If your bike is the only thing that makes you important, then you're never going to be important.
Yeah.
You're the thing. You're who you are, your personality, your values, your goals. That lasts forever. Your bike is a fad and a trend.
Yeah.
And even if your trend is FXRs and that's it forever, you're still going to go through waves of different styles of FXRs.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
I want to explore all of them now.
The thing that's going to last forever is the integrity of the man.
Yeah.
Be a man.
Exactly.
Be a
biker.
Be a man of your word. Stand up.
Yep.
Fucking,
Yeah.
Don't be a douchebag. Don't be a dirtbag. Just be a fucking man and man the fuck up.
Yeah. So I guess getting on that, on my East Coast trip, I blew out my sprocket, so I had to get a 70 tooth sprocket. So I was like not geared correctly. My exhaust had broke on that East Coast trip. And then Victor had seen all of my, kind of mishaps on that East Coast trip. And I met him for lunch with you guys in Boise. And he's like, yo, I got some stuff. The next week, he had a 65 tooth pulley and that thunder header on my porch to install on my bike.
Nice.
So I can make it to the West Coast Jam. And so I knew at that point, I told him I would meet him to ride to the West Coast Jam. So I had to be a man of my word, and I would meet him there.
Yeah.
I was on a super paint crunch deadline. I was awake for 48 hours. Yeah, it was curing as I was riding it down the road.
Been there. I know what you mean.
Exactly. Do what it takes to hold up to your word and say you'll be there, and it'll pay off.
The day that so for Victor, when Victor revealed himself to me, straight up, that's how it happened. When he revealed himself to me. Because he hit me up to paint a bike.
Right.
I had no idea who the fuck he was. He was a guy that called me. I answered the phone and we did
Victor
things.
Newmar. You didn't put the two and two together. Yeah.
I never dowed into it.
Never Googled his name or anything.
He one day he said something. He goes, he did this little sly thing or he sent me a message because we had started fucking my little brother because he started looking like Jax Teller.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then we were fucking with him all the time on the podcast. And he said hey, tell your brother I'm his daddy.
Oh, right.
And so then he sent me a picture of his, his headshot from the show.
This one right there?
Yeah.
That one right there?
Yeah, that one exactly. And I was like, what the fuck? And I called him and I was like, dude. And I was, it wasn't like I found out who he was. I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
I was more stoked and I was more intrigued because
right.
I love that show and it changed it. I wouldn't say it changed my life. It made me it gave me a fantasy version of this motorcycle world that I can enjoy.
Yeah. See, I think I've only ever watched one episode, and it was before I was even on a bike, and it didn't really click. And I still haven't watched it, but I want to now. And
there's a lot of cool shit in there, man. It's not, you got to think it's the show is not about it's not about the life that you live now. It's not, it's about motorcycling. There's motorcycling in a
drama.
Yeah. It's in all this other shit. So it's you get to enjoy the bike, but it's not necessarily.
I get sucked into series too. I guess it's bad.
It's good, man. Fuck, I don't give a shit. Everybody in the
I
world
will
of
get
motorcycles, they want to clown on every motorcycle movie ever existed, but these faggots don't understand that they love all that shit.
Right? Yeah, it don't matter.
Dude,
don't matter to me.
I'm not saying you got
to bike fight from Torque. Insane.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do.
I wish I could do that stuff.
But at the same time, what it is you people. Motorcyclists seems to be the most insecure people I've ever met in my life, and I have my insecurities as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not speaking as greater than. I'm saying it is, and motorcycling can give you so much purpose in life.
Definitely, it's given that to me.
It gives you, or maybe not purpose, but it gives you direction. This is something that means something. It feels amazing. I want to pursue it. I want to live it. I want to understand it.
Right.
And I want to recreate it, or I want to preserve it for other people to enjoy because this has been awesome.
Right.
But what happens is some of these people that are kind of not secure in their own skin, when these shows come out, it's like they feel like they need to shit on it because it's not their version of motorcycling.
Right.
But they don't, like, I remember this before Sons of Anarchy ever came out. I remember working at the shop, Other Side Customs. I was there, and there was this guy that was always showing up. He was a hang around the shop. Mm-hmm. But he had money. He fucked around. And what he was talking about, a movie that had just came out where it was something, I think it was like The Warrior, which was like that fighting movie with like Tom Hardy in it. Mm-hmm. And they were just like, we're all in it. At the time, the whole shop, we're all on UFC shit. Every time UFC comes out, we're all at the shop going to watch it together.
Yeah. I remember those days.
And my boss said like, yo, dude, this is just entertainment. It's all it is.
Yeah.
If it was a real fight, it would be like how we feel when we're watching a UFC fight and they're laying on the ground fucking Indian burning each other, trying to like get position. Like, they can't do that on a movie. They have to, like, it has to move along. People lose interest. Yeah. And so they have to make it, you know, you have to hit each other in the mouth 100 times, even though in real life that ain't going to happen. Yep. It's a dramatization of the situation.
Yeah, for
Just let it be. Like, if it was a real biker movie, it would appeal to a smaller demographic of us, right?
Oh, right.
And the rest of the world would be like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Where's the explosions?
Exactly.
As a biker, I've never seen an explosion in real life. It's kind of bullshit.
It's definitely entertainment factor. You know, that's built for making money.
And the only guns that have ever been fired off in my presence as a biker is at poor old signs in the middle of nowhere.
Really? We popped one off in the swamps. We did. We just got done in New Orleans, and we were trying to find a hotel. Right?
Yeah.
And so we're taking off out of New Orleans, still heading west, right? And we're trying to find a hotel. So we see this cluster of hotels on our GPS or whatever, and it's like a double exit, you know, one of those A-B exits.
Yeah.
Right? So we needed to take the B exit. We took the A exit, which was the next highway, which led into a swamp. 7 miles out until you could like get off to turn around and get back on it, because it's all lifted up bridge.
I know what you're talking about.
It's a swamp. So 7 miles until there's a patch of land for you to turn around on, you know. And we were so dog tired after partying in New Orleans. We just needed a hotel room, and took a wrong exit, and we were all just pissed for riding, 10 minutes out of the way plus 10 minutes back.
It's a 20-minute excursion.
Yeah, it was a 20-minute detour. So we got off the highway, went to turn around, but we all stopped, had to piss at that point, and we were all just like, what the fuck, out in the middle of nowhere. Shut the bikes off. It's dead quiet. All you hear is the chirping of the insects, and you see on the GPS, you could see the moonlight, all the water and stuff, So like, maybe this is the good time to pop it off, I've been like looking the whole country, like to see where I could shoot a sign or something, like you're saying, right? Never got to that place, and this seemed like the place. It was right here. So, we had to test it out, and then California guys got a little scared.
Oh my god!
Like these fucking,
can you have those?
These Idaho boys got all crazy. I can't remember what Joe said. But you'll have to tell them about that one. It's like, some of us are felons here. Literally no one out there. Yeah. Middle of nowhere. It was fun, some biker shit.
We did the Rock Springs, which if you ever stayed in Rock Springs, it's a good time.
I stayed there with JR on our way back from the first time to Sturgis.
I think Rock Springs, if you hit the bars or the clubs there.
Oh, any place in Wyoming, man, they have the drive-through liquor stores. Yeah. Basically like every corner. Every block has a liquor store. Mm-hmm. Like, Wyoming's heavy drinking, so it's pretty much a good time around there.
So when you leave Rock Springs and you head straight south, like trying to get into Colorado, it ends up becoming a dirt road.
Oh, interesting.
And it goes through a little canyon called Irish Canyon.
Okay.
And it's pretty rad.
All right.
Even though it was a dirt road, so I'm kind of like feeling like, okay, I got to pay attention, but this is fucking beautiful.
Cool.
So when we got to finally the T intersection where there was a paved road again, we just all stopped and kind of like, what the fuck, dude? Wasn't expecting that.
Right. Yeah.
And then we're like, Jacob, shoot that sign, and Jacob just pops off like couple rounds
Yeah,
into the
exactly.
sign. Yeah.
Dude, it's fun, you know? Like, it just makes you feel like a kid again, you know? Like, that's what all this traveling just makes me feel like, you know? You're just with your boys, like, summertime, you're out of school, you know? You're just riding your bicycles to get to the swimming hole or go get an icy or something at the store, you know? Like,
We stayed in Steamboat Springs that night.
okay.
It was a good time.
I went there. I think I stayed there while I was in Wyotech. We took a trip down to Colorado and went to the Winter X Games down there. Like,
Shit.
that was cool, man.
That'd be wild to see that.
Dude, it was epic. It was like 2007. I think like Shaun White was all, you know, height of his game, like doing backflips over us on the half pipe. And man, it was wild, you know.
That's wild.
It was fun. Yeah.
That's
Colorado, super cool. We did, I went to Four Corners this year. Rode out there with Joe. I met him in Ely, and then we crossed Utah, went over to Four Corners Rally. It's beautiful. Did the $1 Million Highway. That's super cool.
You met
enjoyed it.
like Hans yet? FXR Hans?
No, I haven't.
Solid dude.
Is he?
Solid dude.
Is he out there, or does he go to?
He's in
Four Corners?
Montrose.
Okay.
So he had that RT that Ramjet built,
Okay.
and then he did it like the homie Get Bent Moto did a whole like spotlight series.
I think
on
I
his
started
bike.
to watch that. I didn't get all the way through it.
Yeah, he's right. He's a fucking rider, dude. He linked up with us on a trip where we met with you.
Okay.
In San Juan,
Okay.
down in Monument Valley.
Tight.
Solid dude.
I bet you I saw his bike there. I'm sure I saw his bike. You know, I may have even met him, but I just can't recall.
Yeah, Brucey's wanting to move to Grand Junction.
Oh, really?
He wants to start like a little shop down there.
That's a cool
And honestly,
spot.
his like his OCD for like the way he's wired, because he's a carpenter and he's a bad motherfucker
Yeah,
with
dude,
that
carpenters are very precise. Like,
Yeah.
you only get one shot. Like,
I'm at his house and I'm looking at this table he built. I'm like, fuck, butcher block, you did this? He's like, fuck yeah, I did that. And I'm like, dude, man, that's rad. I want to know how to do this. And you're like looking at my paintwork and you want to do that. I'm like, fuck the paintwork. That shit's gay as AIDS. This shit right here that you're doing. He's got this old school, like wooden, like this old, like fire, like wood burning stove. You know, one of those ones that'll heat the whole house, but also you can cook on the motherfucker and shit. But no, he wants to move down there, and he's, you know, it's really dope, like doing this podcast and meeting people, and like they find at all different ages, right? They find this drive where they want to do this, like be a part of this, or kind of create something, or make something, and I find it to be so fascinating,
man,
you know, and inspiring,
right?
You know, I want to make sure that they hear, not fascinating, like you're weird, but like, you know, it's also badass what you're trying to do, you know?
Yeah. See, I'm in a weird spot because I feel like I would love to be in the motorcycle industry, you know? Like, it's really my passion. Like, I love motorcycles. I want to do it all day. I don't know shit about the airplanes that I paint, you know?
Yeah.
I paint World War II aircraft restorations. I don't know anything about aircraft. I know how to paint. Like, I could pretty much paint anything, you know? But really passionate about motorcycles. And I would love to be able to do that all day, you know, to have something I'm passionate about. But I just am worried that it would, you know, taint me or get ruined or somehow, or, you know, take the love or the luster away from it.
Well,
like,
I mean,
like, I don't know.
As a person that literally loves motorcycles,
Right.
There's certain things that like you have to accept as to a new reality. Like you can't, there's certain things that like Joe, for example, can experience and love that he doesn't have to worry about as if he was in the industry as far as like, and certain things. But there's also things that I have to deal with that he wouldn't understand. Right. He might understand, but he doesn't have to deal with. Right. So he stays in his lane over there doing that, so he doesn't have to deal with it.
Yeah. See, and I like how he's doing it, man. I kind of like his model. You know, he's just a guy. Yeah. Just restores bikes, puts them back on the road, does them his flavor, rides them, sells them, moves on to the next one. Yeah. You know, I think I'd be more inclined to maybe start that way. Just restore bikes. That's what I like to do, is find things, restore them, bring them back to life, you know, get them back on the road. It's way cheaper to do it that way than to buy a new one. Yeah. You know? So, you know, I think he's got a good model. I like what he's doing, and, you know, but at the same time, I don't know, I got a lot of skills too. So I need to put them to use. I mean, exactly. To learn, to go even further, to push my skills to someone who, you know, can show me how to apply them into the motorcycle or take them to the next level, or, you know, be an asset to some sort of team or some sort of.
That's kind of that conundrum in life. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different paths you can take to be in the motorcycle industry, and some of it could be completely soul sucking and soul selling. Mm-hmm. Some of them are a balance, or it's literally a balance of like, okay, well, ultimately, what I really want to do in life, if I won the lottery, is ride bikes.
Yeah.
Right. And customize my bike to my liking and go ride it. That's what I want. I think that's the core of what we want to do.
See, and it scares me to like do work for customers, you know? Like I've really only done work for myself or Don or homies, you know? Like never really offered my services up in that regard, you know? So it's a whole nother level when you're doing
if you were to approach it the same way you've kind of approached your, you know, for lack of a better term, like your slow approach and like all the things you've studied through college.
Yeah.
If you don't force yourself to be at some kind of like high end spot and you allow yourself to grow within like working on bikes for customers,
right,
then you can find a very, very lucrative, not lucrative, but like a very fulfilling role within custom motorcycles.
Yeah. Or
customizing or modifying or maintaining.
Right.
Good, but sometimes people like they get this desire and they fast track it, and then they don't allow themselves enough time to understand and be a more or less professional. Because I mean, you don't necessarily have to go to MMI to be good at this. Like, I would almost think that like if you put a guy that just graduated MMI on your bike and said ride this to the East Coast Jam, are you gonna know about these battery tricks?
Yeah.
Are you gonna know that? They're not teaching that. They're trying to teach you how to fucking change.
They're not teaching
Harley
Evos,
shit.
I think, in those things anymore.
So there's something that you can provide to the world, but you know, also with time, you know, you got to.
I think so. To be a part of the industry, man, there's no industry here. The only thing is the Harley dealer. There's not even an independent shop in this town. You know, so like if I wanted to be in the industry or work with someone,
you should try to jump over the Snake River.
Man, I think I just need a longer ramp and a bigger motor. I'll make an FXR fly. I've jumped it off a curb or two. But I mean, yeah, it's tough, you know.
You know how to weld, you know how to fabricate enough. You're going to school for machining.
Right.
You're learning all these like skills that are traditionally what would make a true builder.
Right.
So I don't know, patience, man. Like even though you're 34 years old, but at the 34, right?
Yeah, 34.
You're 34 years old, and you're just kind of coming into your place in motorcycling. Don't rush it, man. Like,
no.
Add another 5 years to this, and then see who you are, and you know, maybe you really could start something up here to be some kind of epic thing.
Yeah.
You know, and just let you know, I would think this is the way to roll, is just like let the path just kind of guide you. You know what I mean? It seems like that's how you've been rolling.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much go with the flow and, you know, do the best I can with what I got.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of always been
my motto. If the world starts seemingly to funnel you into or pushing you to do that, then it's easy.
Yeah.
Hey, let's add another lift in here. Let's got to start helping these boys put T-bars on.
Exactly.
You know what
I mean, yeah, that's kind of been my thing lately, is just kind of been tooling up and buying the things I need, you know, making things work. Built a paint booth, have a small little lathe from 1958 Craftsman, you know, but man, I made a number of parts for my bike with that thing. Just simple stuff, you know. Just trying to tool up as much as I can. I built a little vapor blasting cabinet in my little kitchen right there. I don't know if you can scope that out, but, you know, just to try to, you know, do better, you know, to try to tool up. I share this shop situation. I rent out half of it. Man, I would love to be able to afford to rent out the whole thing and make it all my own, you know, so where I can really fit in here and, you know, do the type of stuff I want to do. But, you know, that comes with a cost. But I'm in school right now, which also, you know, cuts away from my time working. So, you know, I'm scraping by. I'm surviving, you know. But
you're still living, though.
Yeah, I'm living. I do pretty good in school. They give me scholarships. So really that's what makes it all possible. Like if there wasn't the scholarship aspect of it, it wouldn't be possible or wouldn't be feasible. And it just turns out, you know, because I'm good at school or dedicated or, you know, take it seriously and maintain a good grade point average and, you know, show up and put in effort and apply for scholarships, you know. There's a lot of money people will give you to go to school, you know. It's crazy. I can't even believe it. That's what built my bike. I built my bike with scholarship money last year.
Should have been buying fucking note textbooks. And
no, I know. Like, hey, but you know, those are for living expenses. And man, I'm fucking living, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking living. Like, I learned so much.
Your Honor, I'm fucking living on this shit, dude.
It's living expenses. What are you going to do?
I love that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You know, that rebuilding that bike or building that bike last winter gave me so much experience into Big Twin and how things work and just, a lot more confidence in my mechanical ability. I'd never set bearings on wheels before, never rebuilt a front end. I did a lot of shit that I'd never even done before. I was super scared. And Joe just pushed me to it and said, yo, fucking do it. You can do it. You know, look it up. It's in the manual. Watch some YouTube. There's stupider people that have done it. Yeah. You can do it, you know.
You know, like one thing as I'm getting older, I find myself in a position where sometimes I see people with problems, like what you're talking about, where I can solve it easily. Mm-hmm. And I'm finding myself more hesitant to want to solve it for them and kind of push and see if they can figure it out.
Right.
Not because it's not like a problem that like they're in dire need of solving. It's like, no, like you're close.
Right.
And I see it.
You got to work through it.
And I see you might be able to see the solution, but like maybe I can just like hang back and you can get frustrated enough to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because it's not that hard.
I was so freaked out. So I was trying to get, I got those wheels. Mine came with
Sean Kemp, dude.
Yeah, fuck that one up. So I put those mag wheels on, got those from Alex Pellegrino, and went to put those on and never had done bearings before, you know, didn't know about amp play.
I honestly don't know about the setting the bearings on those wheels.
It's super easy once you understand it, you know, because there's like 2 cone bearings, right? And then they sit in another kind of cone. There needs to be a certain amount of slop between them. And so once you can measure that, and then I have a lathe now that I can cut down spacers to figure out that measurement. I'm taking machining, so I learned, you know, measurement, precise measuring, and figuring out tolerances and end play and that stuff. And once I took it apart, the main factor was having the tools, not having the right tools to pull those inner races out. Yeah. I didn't have them. Joe has them. You know, he's in California. Like, no one else around here has them but the Harley dealer. They're not going to give them out. I was about to take my wheels off and drive down to Chandler to have him help me do it, you know. That's a big pain in the ass. And he was totally willing. He's like, yo, I got everything you need. We got all the parts, got the tools, whatever. You know, he was totally open. And Joe was like, no, fuck that. Do it yourself. You have a welder. Weld some washers to those races. Punch them out. Fucking get it done, you know. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I could do that. You know, it's crude, you know, but it works. It worked great. Once you weld it, heats it up, loosens it up, pounds right out. Yeah. It's fucking perfect. So now I have a full understanding of how that works. Fully set up those wheel bearings. I never checked them the entire summer. Almost 30,000 miles. Never even checked them. They're perfect.
Nice.
Still riding tits just because I dialed them in perfect with that lathe and set the end play correctly to, you know, the specification. Mm-hmm. And it worked out great, you know. Just read the manual.
Do the work.
Exactly. It ain't that hard. Stupider people have done it. But, yeah.
So, yeah, you. What was it like getting the Triple Crown?
Man, it was an honor. It was cool just being there at the show, you know, being able to park my bike under the tent. The first year I went there, I rode the Sportster, so I had to be parked out, you know, in the sun, boiling hot. Couldn't ride in with everybody else. Yeah. So super cool to be able to ride in there under the tent and be there with some really badass bikes from some really, you know, well-known builders and, yeah, top-notch bikes. But it was cool, yeah, to roll in there and, basically got to be on the stage while Joe was giving the same speech that he gave the year before to the other Triple Crown guys. So
Nice.
it was super cool to, you know, be at that point. We're on the receiving end. He gave me the side cover, is his kind of award right there. He kind of letters up and pinstripes a side cover. So he awarded that to me. Earlier in the day, I had presented that tank strap that's on my bike. I had some custom LR leather tank straps made with some crowns on them, and they say FXR 2022 with some Triple Crowns on there, custom made tank straps. And so I gave those to the other guys that completed the ride with us.
Who all did it?
It was Sean Rosendahl and Omar Velasquez, Team Proven, and then Joe. I gave him one too.
Yeah, how many has he done though? He's done them all, right?
He's done two. I think two officially on a bike, you know, to all three. No, he did it on different bikes this year.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I mean, yeah, he's either on a bike, or if he's not, he's in a car picking up a bike or a trailer or a truck or his Twavalanche or something, you know. I mean, can't hate him on that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the cheapest option to load a bike. He already had a Suburban, you know. Like, vehicles are expensive, so especially trucks out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why not?
No, it's been dope, man. The whole situation, it seems like so rad. You know, having this like goal to reach as a FXR person, someone that like truly loves this whole culture, the Triple Crown, and all the things in between. Because what it is, the Triple Crown is like is a goal, but the real award is all the things that you get in between.
Oh, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And
all the people I met, all the fantastic places I went, all the
it's
great
smoke and mirrors.
riding and food, and yeah, I mean, now that I've completed it, it just almost seems like small potatoes. Like,
yeah, it's like
I'm ready to do the 48 now.
You're stoked about the award itself and maybe the acknowledgement at an FXR kind of proving ground, if you will. But realistically, I don't know that, you know, hypothetically, I'm thinking out of like a context, you know, because I haven't experienced this, right? But I don't know would you say that you place that over like the experience of the swapping out the batteries, getting to the East Coast Jam, all the experience there, and all these things, or, you know, meeting up with Vic and doing this. Like, there's so many things that make up like the story of how and why.
It's the adventure, man.
Yeah, it's always
an
that
adventure.
Let the goal be the purpose.
Yeah.
But let the experience or the journey show you the true meaning of this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we say about the camp out. The camp out is the goal.
Right.
But really,
I found something way bigger than
there's
that.
something bigger than that.
Yeah. No, I thought going to the camp out was Everest, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was huge. Turns out I get there and it's like base camp.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And then so I'm like, all right, well, what is the peak of Everest? Is it the Triple Crown? So I do the Triple Crown. Turns out I want to do even more than that. It's another base camp, you know? So it's like, what is the peak? Like,
the scary part is like, you don't ever
I just want to keep climbing.
You do want to keep climbing, but you also like, this is the journey of being a motorcyclist, is always finding another peak to climb. Because when you get to that point where you find no interest in the journey to the next thing, that's when it's like, fuck, that's a scary time, you know?
Yeah. It's scary. Like, I don't want us to end ever, you know? Like, this winter's been really tough after riding that far. You know, last summer, I haven't ridden in like almost 3.5, 4 months. It's been really hard. One of the hardest of all of the winters, you know. I basically did as many miles last year as I had ever done in my riding career of like 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So I did 5 times more riding than I ever had.
Yeah, and for the same for me, like, I've ultimately doubled down and done more than I ever have.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, there's been a toll on the wife scale and on that stuff, but It's tough, man, because
But I'm like, what happens when, we're in nursing homes or whatever, and we're like wheelchair to wheelchair talking about, this, all our adventures and our craziness. And, I just think about that. Like, what's that going to look like?
I think about
that'll
it
be
too.
cool, man. Just like Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, just that group of dudes that are kind of always there for each other,
Yeah. I mean, that's what you want, man. But, at the same time, like, companionship is still a thing. Like, finding an old lady.
Man, yeah.
Enjoying that and having a life with that, but also still having your own life is still, like, 100% the way to go. Yeah. I know y'all ain't about that shit.
Well, that's something I don't really know about,
Yeah,
there's been a couple of hopefuls, but I've heard you talk about how your kind of life has been, like, more fulfilled once you got a old lady who's, steady and you.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately,
and you had kids early, right?
I had kids early, so my kids are almost grown. I have a son who's kind of coming into his own now, and like he, even this morning he sent me an album that he's really digging right now. He's like, I want you. It's not good.
Okay. Okay, you can tell me later.
It's really not a good album, but
I'm not much into music anymore, man. My little brother's the kind of music guy.
But for the fact of like, so I listened to the entire album, and I found a song that I, for lack of a better term, liked more than anything, and I sent it to him. I was like, I like this one. I like, and I just found something to connect with him.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing about like homesick, there's something about like traveling on a motorcycle where I love traveling and I love the open road and I love everything that we're talking about here. Right. But I love that feeling of wanting to come home. And I love that feeling of when you get that titty pic.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I love that.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I miss my dog so much when I was on the road. Like, I don't got kids, but I got a dog, Yeah. I got the dog before I got a motorcycle, So now I kind of feel guilty when I leave,
Yeah.
Like, especially for weeks at a time, But, man, when I come home and he's jumping all over me, loving me, like, yeah, that's the best. But, yeah, I don't really know about that, kid aspect thing.
The kid thing, like, fuck them. I'm talking about the pussy I'm waiting on.
No, I'm talking about, like, having kids or, sharing.
I don't know that, like,
or,
Yeah, having kids, all that stuff, that's kind of a hard one right now because, like, I always tell people, like, hey, if you're dumb enough to make not dumb enough, but let's just say you happen to have kids in your 20s and you finally get in your 30s, your shit's together, and you can start traveling on a bike. It's good. You have an older kid, you're kind of afforded that thing. Right. But there's so many great things in life, and ultimately, I think the goal is to live it all, not live just the best of one. Right. It's to live it all.
Yeah.
And when I see people that have a great family, I want a great family.
Yeah.
When I see a dude that's an amazing husband, I want to be an amazing husband. When I see a guy like Joe Kidd that fucking smashes miles and inspires people, I want to be that guy.
Right.
And I think that there is a way to do all those things. It's just you have to be aware of it, and you have to find the middle ground between everything to exist. And if I unfortunately, I haven't spent very much time in my life not getting pussy. So I don't know how long I can go without getting pussy.
Right.
And I've never had to pay for pussy, and I don't want to pay for it.
Okay.
So I don't know it. There's a weird dynamic there.
Yeah.
Where
dude, dating nowadays is way different than when like I started.
I have no idea. I mean, I met my wife before the app game started.
Kind of slid in the DMs, right?
Yeah.
And that was the situation.
And so now you have like, maybe it's easier, but maybe it's also less.
I don't feel you get meaningful connection.
That's right. And when you ride bikes and when you do these things like what you do and what we do, you kind of, a red flag is like shallowness. When you find someone that has no depth, they have nothing they're passionate about.
Right.
You know? And so like, you know, a lot of, you know, someone that's playing the dating game, it's like here and now, and
exactly,
you know, they're all acting like what they think people want to act like, and you don't feel like you meet any real people. You feel like you meet actors of an idea of what they think they should be.
Right.
And so yeah, that's an unfulfilling world, because companionship is still amazing.
Yeah.
Finding a woman who is you know, can give you the for lack of a better term, not confidence, but the security.
Right.
Because you know,
well, man, like, I'd love to have someone to leave all of this stuff to, you know, like, you know, I want to share my knowledge and, you know, give someone all of this experience or the knowledge and stuff that I've, you know, acquired. I don't have the best relationship with my dad. He didn't teach me any of this.
Yeah.
You know, came into this on my own. So, you know, I just want to give someone, I guess, a good opportunity.
Yeah.
You know? Someone to share, someone to connect with, and, you know, beyond.
I mean, you start thinking about it. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're not a young man.
No, I'm getting up there. Like,
you're getting up there, so you got to like, you got to
get off the pot.
Everything in life is a balance, man. It's all how do I get all these things I want out of life? How do you get everything you want out of life? Like, be selfish. How do I have everything I want? I want to ride. I want a fucking badass bitch. I don't think, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know if you can have it all. You
can't.
A little bit of moderation. You know,
you can't have it all, but
maybe a little bit of everything.
You can strive to have it all, and I think that most people that are you know, the people that are out there that's like go-getters are gonna strive to have it all, and then, you know, the adult side of striving to have it all is the realization of compromise of things that are unrealistic and things that are realistic.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know, if you're trying to be a dude that's traveling the country and you're not trying to be the guy bringing the chick on the back of the bike on every trip, then, you know, you're gonna have to find a chick that has a little bit of her own shit going on. Right. You're gonna have to learn how to be supportive of her the same way you want her to be supportive of you. And there's a lot of this shit that like makes you just overall a more compassionate person, you know, but at the same time, you know, I think that you can never lose sight of who you are and what you need to be happy.
Yeah, definitely yourself. You gotta be priority.
Don't ever like be like, all right, I got a relationship right now and I just don't want to be around her and I don't exist around you guys anymore because I have all I need with this. And then next thing you know, you know, the depression kicks in because you gave away everything that made you who you were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm speaking from a space of 40 years old and just what I've seen throughout my life with people and friends and things like that. And not saying that I have it figured out and I'm fucking, you know, solving the world's problems or anything, but I'm happy.
Dude, I think that's all you can ask for.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm happy,
that's all,
and I
just want to have a content life and be happy.
I mean, I got
It'd be
buddies.
Cool to have someone to share it with.
I got buddies that went the completely opposite direction. You know, went to college, got out of college, got a job and stayed with a job 15 years, got 401ks out the ass, doing all this, and I'm so proud of them because that's what they strive for and they have it. But I do not envy them.
Right.
Even though they have everything that I don't have.
Right.
I still love the fact that I've lived a life that they could never do because they could never afford to.
Yeah. I mean, it's that age-old thing. Joe Kidd said it, time versus money.
Yeah.
You know?
Good time.
Time versus money.
Huh?
The first camp out, after there, we went to Arkansas to see my daughter. You know, I ain't seen her in a while, and the grandkids got to ride on a motorcycle. You know, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool. That happened because of the camp out.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so. On our way home from that first camp out, his daughter lives in Arkansas, like Fayetteville area. So we swung by there and then crashed with them, and I got to see all his grandkids and stuff, and taking them for a ride and. Yeah, it was cool to see, man, you know?
Hell yeah.
So,
hey, you know what? we've said, and I think we're all saying this, is like the camp out is not, it's not a new idea. It's an old idea that has transcending values, right? And all we're trying to do is repackage it and show a new generation, hey, look, try this thing out.
Yeah. It's a catalyst for whatever you want it to be.
Exactly, man. You know,
that's honestly, that's probably my favorite event across the whole country that I've been to.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you've leaned into it the way you have and just created it your own world out of it. And that's what I want. I don't, you know, I think some people like think it's like this like jerk off Jace event, you know, and I do my best.
I don't even think I saw you very much. I think I spoke to you maybe a couple times at the event, you know.
And that's because it
was big last year, man.
It's for everybody else. It's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, I don't know. I can't stress that enough for people that like it really is an opportunity for you to fucking start making things happen, traveling, motorcycling locally, you know, for yourself. Because when you come to the camp out, you're around a lot of other people in different parts of the country that have the same fucking thoughts you have.
Yep.
And when you start linking up around fires and talking shit and talking about it, and you go home with a perspective.
Yeah.
And that perspective can come from around a campfire with Joe kids standing on a fucking milk crate telling motherfuckers about this hog life, or it can come around from my drunk ass doing something, or there's so many people there that have figured a couple things out, not everything, but a couple things that might help inspire you to do something else, or try something else, or just fuck it. You're just coming to have fun.
Yeah.
And you can do that too.
The first year I showed up, man, I wanted to have fun. I wanted a Simpson helmet, and I chugged the syrup. I jumped.
You were on stage with
I was the syrup chug. I was one of the syrup chuggers.
Oh, shit.
I was a loser. I was a syrup loser.
You can't fuck with Moss Glide, bro.
Dude, yeah. You do not mess with that dude. He's wild.
I didn't know you were on stage on that.
World. Yeah. I was one of the syrup guys, and it took me a whole year to eat anything syrup based. No French toast, no pancakes, no waffles.
Can I just get butter?
Yeah. Really, the only reason why I tried syrup again was because we were at Continental Breakfast on our way back from the East Coast trip, and that's like the only thing they had was syrup-based breakfast. And so I lightly syruped my stuff. You ruined me on syrup. So the first time I went there, really, trying to make an impression and do something, and it turned my stomach inside out. I was in the tent for, a couple hours, threw up syrup in the bush until Joe woke me up and got me to rally. And so the next year, I knew that I wasn't going to be doing any of that shit.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Like, straight up, like...
So I figured out, I'll just ride far. I'll just ride farther than anyone.
That's I want to tell you that's one thing that I think matters most. It's not about, like, this isn't TikTok, man.
Yeah.
I think that none of us are looking for people to do wild shit and be super crazy, but people that are just doing cool shit, riding, and truly falling in love with the values of it instead of the fame of it, is what is more like worth promoting to people. Like if some dude just did some crazy stupid shit at our camp out all weekend and made a name for himself, like this podcast would have ended after 20 minutes.
Right.
Because there would be no context as to who he is and why he's doing this.
Yeah, if you did a podcast with the bike that flew off the container or whatever, that was cool.
I don't know, bro.
10 seconds.
Yeah, that dude's, like it got a lot of views and it was this, but that's not tapping into the core values of all this shit. So, the reason like, you and you as well, Don, like it's just a situation where you guys have been everywhere. Every time I'm somewhere, you're there and you're doing this shit, and that's ultimately what it's about, and crazy enough, like you don't see guys like you don't see people like the way I see you guys. I don't even see people the way I see Joe. So it's like one of those deals where there's something special there. You know, it means more than that. You cracked the code as to love for motorcycles, and that's why I felt like I owed you a podcast versus, you know, like, oh, you were the wild guy that fucking stuck a pencil up your butthole or some shit at a camp out. Like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, go just be a fucking biker, and you did that, and I owe you this.
Cool. Well, I appreciate
what I'm saying?
It, man. I never expected this to happen, you know, like, yeah, it was wet dream, maybe, you know, I was like, fuck yeah, it'd be cool, you know. I'm like listening to your podcast, you know, as I'm in the booth painting or doing whatever, you know. I think I started listening. It was probably Paint Huffer that turned me on to your podcast, you know. It was right after I graduated and started getting a custom paint thing, trying to figure out, you know, flakes and that sort of stuff. And then, stumbled on the Paint Huffer, seeing your, you know, brand and your flake on there. And then I seen him promote the podcast was coming up. So that's when I started listening, you know. And from then on, I've just been, adamant listener, just trying to soak in as much as I can. And, you know, just take your words of advice. And they're all true. Like, you just got to show up, you know.
I hate being right, dude. I really hate being right.
It sucks. I know. Well, you're not right all the time. Not all the time.
I'm like,
you're right about this
86%, dude.
You're right about this
86%.
Just cross state lines. You know, seeing this country has been amazing. I just never thought it was going to be possible.
Yeah.
But
get off your fucking ass and ride.
Yeah, dude. It's not that hard. It's not that expensive. It's not that hard.
And you don't need all that flashy, fancy shit, man. I just did very little with my bike, you know, just rebuilt.
You did your first one on the Sportster, man.
Yeah, and that was the kind of the proving, the test, you know. That one I rebuilt, got it to survive, rode it pretty damn far, you know. I learned that it wasn't
$2,700 Sportster.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, it took me to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even believe that. I think
like,
that was
what, 1,200 miles, 1,300 miles?
Straight there. I think we had 35 the whole trip.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
It's a good poke on a Sportster, you know. I learned it's not really built for that. FXR is way better for touring, you know. But, you know, it was the catalyst that got me to go do all this stuff, to get on a bike and cross state lines and ride far, meet up with people, you know. It's been cool as hell. Meeting everybody across the country. Yeah, we got a nationwide, you know, group chat going on. 20 dudes all across the country. Shit, there's one even international. We got Abdul is in Qatar. He was in the States for a number of years, but I think he went back to his home country in Qatar. So, you know, wild hogs are international. It's been rad, man, meeting all these dudes and making plans and meeting up with them and riding and experiencing different parts of the country and eating different foods and man, it's been rad.
Yeah, and paying it forward like you have. I mean, with me, with my homies coming through Twin Falls, like it's not just about like what you can gain, but it's also about what you can give back. And I think that Joe's really shown you that as well. Definitely. I mean, that's a core value of a biker is to only take what you need and give back what you can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many great core values that can be that can really kind of teach people how to be a solid man, a solid friend.
Definitely.
As well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think I learned some of that, you know, in the bike club too, you know. That really taught me how to be a man. You know, I didn't have my real dad wasn't around very much growing up. I had a stepdad, you know, he was kind of a fatherly figure until I was about 17. It was when my mom split up, but, you know, I never really had a solid figure in my life and didn't know what it took to be a man, you know. And then the club kind of showed me some of that and how to act and, you know, how to be, a man and how to be a biker and how to take care of business and, you know, keep your shit up and running and be respectable, honorable, man of your word. Yeah. You know, so that really, I think, taught me a lot of good core values. And then, Joe taught me how to live on the road, how to, you know, how to make the best of the road and the adventure and the experience and, how to do it. So It's been cool. And I wouldn't have even started that, without you having a camp out or having a place to do that or to start that journey, I just been listening to how much fun you guys have and, the camp out as it was growing up to that point. And, I knew I was like, well, fuck it. Just got to jump the curb and, make the trip out there.
Well, I'm glad you did, man. I'm excited to see where you take your life within. I mean, that's the other thing about this is like we're looking at like our camp outs and these years, and sometimes there's so much fun they start to blend together. You got to like find a way to separate them and shit. But ultimately, I think that fast forward 10 years and like you're in a different place, you're doing something. We all we all start somewhere, and I'm very humbled from everybody that's found some kind of a starting point from something that was the podcast or the camp out or something like that, or maybe a guest on the podcast. You know what I mean? Somebody like a Joe Kidd or like an FXR Mike that kind of like really pushes somebody to do something and try something and go down a different path and just change your life and find more happiness, find more fulfillment in the everyday struggle of, existence. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just a motorcycle podcast. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I've learned, I've grown, I've made so many friends through it. And now I'm sitting here in Twin fucking Falls. Yeah. I got some biscuits over there with some goddamn huckleberry butter. See, I can't wait for breakfast. I ate a lot. I got
a toaster oven in the kitchen,
and it's going down this morning. All right. It's late now, but tomorrow that's breakfast.
We'll make it happen.
But hey, I really do appreciate, man. Like wood grain FXR, Bryan.
I also started, the FXR Triple Crown page.
You did?
So we got like a small number of followers there. It was kind of Joe's idea to have a place to kind of promote and, this Triple Crown thing. So I kind of was helping him out and started a FXR Triple Crown page. Mm-hmm. Still trying to figure out how to, promote it or highlight all the riders that have completed it. There's 10 of us so far, but, I'm kind of using your podcast and kind of get some ideas of, how to kind of interview or question all of the guys that have done it to kind of capture that feeling or the vibe of the FXR Triple Crown. Man, it's so hard to put a finger on what exactly it is, to like put rules down or to try to, I put up some rules and I didn't really, quite want to per se, it almost shouldn't have to be said, the rules, but you need to ride to each event, ride your bike and, I don't know, there's some people who have questions about it, who wasn't sure about it. Yeah. So I put some rules up there, I guess, some loose guidelines, but, it's all about riding and having some experience and, experiencing this country on an FXR. Yeah. That's really what it's all about. So hopefully here in the future, I'll be putting up some pictures and maybe some interviews or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how to present that. But
yeah, for sure. Well, at least you have an idea. You have a premise to try to promote. Yeah, I want to. So that'll be helpful.
I kind of want to, immortalize or make something special out of it for the guys that have completed it. You know? There's 10 so far that have done it out of how many people that ride these bikes or like them on Instagram or whatever. Only 10 people have completed it, so I think it is a really special thing.
I think it is too. To me it's like there's a lot of riding challenges in the world. There's a lot of pages, iron butts, saddle scores, all these different things, but it's the obscure ones where you almost have to have a personality to go with your miles. Right. You have to go. I mean, what is it? I mean, to go to any of the jams or to go to the FXR show, what is it to do that and not make connections? Like you've missed the point.
Exactly. That's what it's about. Is making those connections and
because
having those
everybody's going to be stoked you did it.
Yeah.
You know, oh shit, you're fucking with another dude. You're attempting. Even if you're attempting,
Yeah.
You go to the first one, the East Coast Yam. I'm doing the Triple Crown. Like that's a good way to get people to be like, you know, giving you advice or even like just fucking like, hey, so what's your story? Like a barrier of entry.
Yeah.
Right. And there's, I don't know. I mean, for people out there that are looking for a tribe, you know,
Definitely.
you got one. If you want to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
We're there. We're putting down miles, you know. I think the Barella brothers are attempting it this year.
Hell yeah.
They got their old man with them. You know, they both building bikes. Joey's frame off. Ruben's got a clean OG, you know, so they're going to be attempting it. So,
that's going to be rad.
You know, yeah. And they're doing it with their old man. They're taking their dad with them.
That's going to be, he's got a bagger though.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were trying to find him an FXR earlier last year. No, I don't think he does.
Yeah, he does. He's got a blue one. He took to Sturgis.
The old man?
Yep, the old man, their dad.
I don't
He'd
think
rip
so.
up and down the street all the time.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, they're doing it with their old man. Regardless, they're crossing the country with their dad.
That's gonna be rad.
Which seems cool as shit, you know. So, yeah. And I'm sure some others probably going to be attempting also. So
the more that's talked about, the more it's put out there, the more people are going to be like, what's this Triple Crown thing that y'all are talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, man, it's fun. The jams are some of the best.
I'm good.
Jams are some of the best events out there.
Already. I said clown instead of crown.
Yeah, we're not triple clowning over here.
I'm sorry. I was like, they're gonna take that as like I did that on purpose, and I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Not at all. No.
They're getting me drunk over here in Twin Falls.
That's what we do.
I got the mini fridge stocked for Jace, but yeah, man, it's a fun time. It's a great experience. You know, I think that's the best way to experience an FXR.
100%.
Just take it across the country. It ain't that hard.
Struggle.
You know, it is.
I mean, they're not. Honestly, it's not a struggle when you're having fun. So, it gives you a different experience. Like I've always said this, like every bike you ride is going to give you a different experience traveling across country, and every friend you ride with across country is a different experience. So it's like I can do the same trip every year, and all I got to do is change the bike or go with somebody else and show them the way, and it's a new experience.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm hoping to explore Idaho some more, and then maybe, when you come do your hyper focus, I'll come show you around.
Hell yeah. All right, Bryan, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jace. It was an honor.
You did 3 hours, dude. You're
really?
You're winded, dude.
Cool. Fuck yeah.
All right, guys. Hell yeah. I truly hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a great time talking with Bryan, and very inspiring with all his efforts that he's putting into riding, doing things, making his life better, going to school, all that cool shit. Thank you, Bryan, for being a rad individual. Wood Grain FXR, everybody. Check him out on Instagram. And if you guys can, check out our sponsors. A lot of great opportunities for you down there to get cool shit for you and your motorcycle. And also there's a link to our Patreon to support this podcast even further so we can do more trips like this to bring more guys like this on the pod. Check it out. And also, if you guys haven't heard, we did start a YouTube, a little vlog, if you will. So if you want to check that out, it's on our YouTube, the Fast Life Garage on YouTube. Check it out. It's been tough. A lot of great response, though. I can't complain about that, but it is definitely a uncharted territory for me. So it's exciting, pushing those limits and those boundaries and finding out more about that and creating a little bit differently, but it's definitely been nerve-wracking. So go check it out, be the early adopter to it, if you will. And I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm ready to get this camp out going. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one real soon. You guys stay safe. Peace out.